Perfect. Good. Yeah, Larry. So I'll do a few housekeeping things in a couple minutes from now, and then then hand it over to you. How's the weather up in Tahoe?
It's beautiful today. I went hiking Sunday and it snowed heavily on us.
Oh, that's crazy.
Very and cool. Today it's 74 degrees. It's going to be
awesome.
So awesome. That's how it is. Tahoe's up and down, up and down.
And he drives a great car to work.
Yep. I have the best vehicle of anyone I've ever met to get to work. When we actually can go to work in the wintertime.
What vehicle is that?
Skis.
Nice. That's awesome.
Right.
Very cool. Central Valley's been doing this really weird thing in that we're having like these midweek, it seems like we're having these midweek heat waves, and then it tails off on the weekend, which is great. But like last week was literally like Monday, it was 82, Tuesday, it was like 95, and then it was like 103, 107. And then it went back down, and it's doing the same thing this week. Like yesterday was great. It was like 75. Today, I think is 90 going up. And then I don't know what's going on. It's like this bell-shaped curve thing that's happening.
Yeah. Larry's got a bigger curve.
Yeah. It was in the 30s on Sunday, and it's going to be, it was the 80s 3 days before that.
That's great. Good. Well, just some highlights, just looking down, you guys, just some highlights that, things people learned yesterday. So David talked about using breakout rooms. We learned some fun class assignments. Frida talked about some great class activities. Francisco talked about the importance of student discussion. Jameson said the prevailing thought is to leave binomial distributions off the need to teach list. Patricia loves the breakout groups. Mike appreciated the focus on conceptual learning rather than just plowing through techniques, which was great. Jay talked about the importance of random assignment and experiments. Brett talked about real life application or real life examples, which is great. Becky talked about the activities, probably use some of them, also realize how helpful they could be to have students working together. Like a lot of you guys got that student experience yesterday, right? And you're thinking about that for your own students in the summer or fall as you're teaching classes that are potentially remote. Julie learned about how much fun and valuable class activities can be. Christina enjoyed the examples in the breakout rooms. Start with the data table instead of formula. Isela, activities were fun and different. Julie liked the hypothesis 1000. I think that it's much, much more understandable than the formula. Yolanda, abandoning Bayes rules, what a concept. Roxy's letting me know a few people logged into yesterday's rooms and that she's trying to get them over here. Appreciating the table alternative to Bayes' theorem. The dumping Bayes rule was awesome. Someone told me about whenisgood.net tool. And then learning how to better use breakout rooms. Yeah, for me, you guys, last week, I think I mentioned to you, our college did an Innovate, what we call Innovate. It was a week-long professional development. And I think the breakout rooms were probably one of the biggest things that people took away, just in terms of having that time for students to, it's the same thing as doing small groups in your classroom. It just doesn't feel like you can represent it in a virtual space, but it actually works really, really well. So just, hopefully you get to play with that and have some fun and practice with it. So it looks like almost everybody's on board for today. I know Roxy's saying there's a few people that are in the link from yesterday. So just a reminder, your PDF at a glance that I sent out for that day one invite has all of the Zoom links, and each day it's a different link. And so make sure that you're logging on. I'm telling the wrong people because you guys are able to log on to Larry's link, which is great. If you haven't met Dr. Larry Green, our host today, phenomenal educator. We had a chance, I got to meet him the first time, I think it was 2 summers ago. He came down we did Open Educational Resource Boot Camp for faculty. And so Larry came and was part of that and presented a part of that. And today he's going to be walking you through a number of things, including My Open Math. He's going to be talking about open educational resources that are out there, testing challenges and solutions, and then incorporating technology into online lectures, among other things. And I'm sure that you'll have some detours and some great Q&A as you go along. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. and enjoy your time with Dr. Larry Green. Let's go ahead and give him a big round of applause right now. A little virtual round of applause. That's good. All right, Larry, it's all you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And I'm just playing this by ear. This is a new situation for all of us, I think. And in terms of having to be everything online, whether we like it or not. I've been teaching online for, I think, 15 years or so. But this is my first time I've ever taught online to students who didn't want to be online, because that's all we've got now. So there's definitely some challenges. What I thought I would do is open up the agenda and talk about what we're going to do. And I want to let you know I'm completely flexible. Okay, this is not like we have to do these things. In fact, I doubt we'll be able to finish everything because I have a lot of items. And get it? There we go. Okay, so this is the agenda. And first thing, I think I should mention kind of some of my background a bit is that I've been doing online like forever. In fact, I started doing internet resources where at the same time I actually had a company. One of the things we had to do was explain this new thing called World Wide Web that no one had heard of before, as I was putting math online. But the word online didn't exist anymore at that point. So I've been doing this forever, but it's been amazing to watch technology grow and being able to use just great things. The other thing I've been doing forever is I've never charged for anything I do. And I'm a believer in making sure that our students can afford their education, whether they've got money or not. That money is not the reason they don't pass the statistics class. To me, that should never be the reason. So I do everything I can to make sure that what I have my students do and get and find is never cost any money. Okay, everything is free. In fact, I'm buying calculators right now and I'm just donating. And we have a whole set of calculators for our college, and the students can check out the T84 calculators, and it doesn't cost them anything. And they get it for the quarter. And it's just something I like to do. And I get them on eBay right now as a time. It's really cheap, but don't fight me on it because I want the cheap ones. So anyhow, that's just a little background of me. And what the idea of today is we're going to start out with My Open Math. Now, hopefully you got a message that said, get yourself an account. Did everyone get an account to My Open Math? Okay. And I have a bunch of items. We may or may not do all of them because there's a lot to do. And one is just exploring overview, what is it? The other is looking at assessments, because that's kind of the main thing we're going to do, and you do in My Open Math, is you create assessments, homework assignments, whatever it might be, with resources. And what are the settings? So the great things, My Open Math was done by David Lippman. That's his life. He lives in Washington, and he's amazing. And he has made it so that you can do it however you want it to do. You can either just copy someone's courses and not have to do anything, or you can customize it however you would like to do. So I'm going to show you some of the settings. And some of the settings are things like, do you want to allow your student to keep trying the problem forever as long as they want, or do you want to give them just 3 tries or just 1 attempt? And I'll even talk about some pros and cons of the different thoughts on doing that. Then we'll talk about how do you add, remove, and group questions. So there's a bunch of questions. You may not like this one. Let's get rid of it. It's very easy, but again, it helps to be shown how to do that. And then this is not so easy. And some of you may tune out on this piece, but there has been some requests, is that what if you want to write your own problems? And yes, you need to know how to code. So there's some coding. It's not that sophisticated, but if you've never coded at all, this might scare you. So that might be a good tune-out time. But if you've done a little coding, it's not that hard to grab someone else's problem and then do some fine adjustments. Or if you want to do some fancy stuff, then you got to do fancy coding. Then Canvas. And I'm assuming everyone is at least a little bit familiar with Canvas. Just a background of mine, if you don't like Canvas, it's partly my fault. I was on the OEI committee to choose Canvas, and what we got together, there were 50 of us, so it wasn't just, there were 50 of us on the committee, and we looked at all the different LMS systems, and Canvas was absolutely the easiest one for the students to use, most user-friendly for students. Okay, yeah, I'm 2% responsible like that. Okay, but it wasn't a unanimous vote, but it was I think it was 70% of the people in the room voted for Canvas, and now we're all in it. And then other mom ideas. Mom, we always love our mom, but this mom stands for My Open Math. And the idea is you might have some thoughts and maybe some experiences on how you've used My Open Math or how you'd like to use My Open Math, and we can share. I'm not going to go through every little detail of the whole agenda. I want to go through the details at the beginning and then tell you the kind of main things that the plan is for the next few hours until 1 o'clock or so. And that is statistics resources. Okay, so My Open Math isn't the only thing out there. That's really, for me, that's the homework system and testing system. But there's a lot out there, textbooks and handouts, PowerPoints, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll show you a bunch of those things. Some I've written myself and some other people have written, and all that matters is that you can get them. Okay. And then we'll talk about, this is a tough one, and I'm not going to have the solution. I'm going to have some thoughts, but they're not perfect. And maybe you'll be able to contribute to what works and what doesn't work. And that is, in these crazy times, okay, unlike you, I'm still teaching. I'm giving a test next week, and I got to give it, and it's online, and how you make it work, you can't even have a practice because you can't send them to a room with other people. So what are good solutions to testing online? So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about incorporating technology into online lectures. So like right now, I'm using Zoom, I'm sharing my desktop, I'm using a Google Doc, and it works pretty well. I can put in math equations or whatever I want to put in, pictures, drawing, all that kind of stuff. And some of you might have done different things. So what are ideas for doing lectures online? Okay, and then finally, other ideas. And that's the plan, and if you have other suggestions, what I'm gonna do is do the following. I hope all of you guys are good people. Yeah. Where do we get link? Can view change. Shoot. Work. Just a minute. Nope, that wasn't it. One more time. Sorry. Didn't copy.
You got to click. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Forgot to copy. And let's go to all. Okay, so I just put in the chat box. I just put in the chat box the link, and I want to let you know this is an editor link. So please don't erase the whole thing, because then we got to backspace it out. Okay, I see a lot of you jumping in. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna do my best. Yeah, if I don't look at that little microphone the entire time, my voice fades in. So please let me know. It's technology issues. When I'm at work, which I'm not allowed to go to anymore, it's never a problem, but now it's a problem. So haven't had time to go buy a microphone or some fancy thing. So sorry about that if it's not perfect. So again, you now have editing privileges for this. Don't erase the whole thing, please. But you can add things if you have ideas or thoughts or whatever it might be. and this is the agenda, and it's a good place to put our thoughts in as a group. Okay, and again, feel free to pop things in the chat box. I'll try looking, and if I don't see it, please say it if I don't notice. Yeah, I'll try not to move my head too much. That's the hard part. I'm going to be like hours of just not touching, moving my face at all. Okay. Any questions before we start going? Okay, so let's go and talk about math. And I want you to know, what I don't want to do is just sit here and talk for 4 hours. I'm hoping that this could be as interactive as possible. Okay, so is mom similar to Pearson? So let's take a look. Let's take a look. So what I've got is this is, just a minute. This is my mom account. So is it similar to Pearson My Math Lab? Yes and no. It's similar, but if you multiply the cost of mom times 1,000,000, it's still much less than Pearson. So that's one of the big differences. The reason I've moved to mom instead of Pearson is I got really tired of my students saying, you know, I wasn't able to do the homework. This is like the first 2 weeks of class because my financial aid check hasn't come in and I just can't afford it. And when I can get the money, I'll come in. I can't do that. What do you tell a student? You know, or I just don't have the money, so I'm dropping your class. So the nice thing about mom is that never happens. Okay, it never happens. Money is not an issue because it is completely free. So that's what's great about it, is there is absolutely no cost. Okay?
Larry?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, and I've been using mom, so just so everyone understands, I love mom. But if there were, I mean, did you not tell them, hey, you can get the free trial? You got 17 days or originally like 21 days. You didn't, what'd you tell them?
I'd say that, but then the 17 days are up. And then I don't know what to tell them. Go talk to financial aid and see if they can help you, but it's hard at that point. So I gave up, and yeah. I'm never going back.
Right.
I'm never going back. So I'm not telling them anymore. That's the good thing, is that I don't have to deal with it anymore. The other thing I like about mom is that it's totally adaptable for whatever I want to do with it. And I'm a coder, so I could do all kinds of stuff. But for those who aren't, they can still do a lot too. Okay, so that's the other thing I love about mom, is that we could do whatever we feel works for our class and make it work. Does that make sense? So this is my home screen, and you could choose different home screens, but I want to show you something that's on my home screen, and that is Forum. So the first thing that there is, that I see at least, and it doesn't have to be your home screen, is there is a discussion thread for faculty, for users. So if you don't know how to do something, you post your question, and either David Lippman, who's in charge of this whole thing, or someone else gets back to you, usually within 20 minutes. I mean, it's really fast and really good, and it's a community. And I like the idea of a community instead of a company. And really, that's one of the big differences between MyOpenMath and Pearson. Is Pearson's a company, MyOpenMath is a community. And it's a community of us. And I really like that. So that's the first thing, is that you go and, you know, I'm not going to open all these up, but if you want to browse through, you can read it. Okay, and again, I'm hoping you all have mom accounts. So again, you can go and look at it. Okay, who's never seen MyOpenMath before? Put in the chat box, yes or no, I've seen it, or no, I have not seen it. Just get an idea who y'all are. Okay, so it looks like about maybe 65, 35, yes, no, something like that. Okay, so it's a mix. It's a mix. So again, for some of you, this is the first time you've ever seen it. What I thought I would do is show you what a class looks like. Because again, these are just forums, but that's not what the students are going to see. That's not what you're going to see every day. So the first thing is, and again, I'm doing this in Mom and not Canvas, and I'll show you in Canvas too in a bit. So if I go, just to know, of course, I use our number system for our college, which means nothing to all of you. But let me tell you what these are. MAT 159 is a support course for statistics. So we have a class for students. I call them AB 705 students, and they don't belong in statistics. And of course, they were quarter system, so at least we pretend we can get away with it. And we can make them take the 159 class, whereas everyone else, semester schools pretty much have to send them right into stats. But there's no way in a 12-week time we can get statistics into these students that don't know how to, get an area of a rectangle, for example. And then 201, that is our statistics class. So that's kind of how we do it. Now you can put these together, you can merge courses, you can do all kinds of things with math. So maybe I'll jump into Math 201. And this particular class, I had a team that built this class together. And the team was Jessica Kuang. She is at Oxnard College. And Cindy Moss, and she's at Skyline College, and myself. So the three of us, this was no grant, we just did this because we knew how important it was. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to link a MyOpenMath system to the OpenStax book. So if you're not familiar with OpenStax, OpenStax is the biggest textbook group that's free for OER textbooks, probably in America, and they're heavily funded, which is nice. And they've written some nice things. And Barbara Olowski wrote the statistics book, and she and I used to be co-presidents on the CMC Cube board. So I knew her well. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to say, well, what the problem with the book is there was no homework system. And we want homework systems. So we built a homework system for this. So in fact, we created two courses. One is by chapter, one by section, depending on how you like to have assignments. Personally, I like chapter assignments, but I think it was Cindy liked section assignments, and it was easy to split those up. So what we did is we created one module for each chapter in MyOpenMath, and I don't know, maybe I'll pull hypothesis tests for a single population proportion parameter. Okay, and let me show you what an assignment looks like and what we did. So we can preview the assessment. So this is not just a yes/no kind of thing, multiple choice. What we wanted to do is we wanted to really make this work well for critical thinking and not just yes or no kind of stuff, or put in a number and that's it. So what we did is we created, again, this is a hypothesis test, and we created problems. We wrote them out, and there's a lot of randomization going on here. So for example, this 76% here, that is actually randomly generated. So if another student tries this problem, they're going to get a different percent. Okay, at least 1 out of 50 times or something, or maybe 30 times they'll get the same. And the same thing with this 49. So all the numbers are randomly generated. Okay. What are they using for let's see. What are they using for software for this? So this is online. It's internet. You don't need software. David Lippman wrote this in a modified JavaScript /PHP, but if you don't know what that means, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
No. What I meant is, what is the student using for their stats software to answer those questions? Not how is it written?
Oh, you mean what calculator is what you mean?
Well, calculator or package, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and when I say calculator, it could be computer calculator.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. The answer is whatever they want. Because the software should all give you the same number, right?
Yeah, but
So that's up to the student, whichever, so, or up to the instructor if you want to require that. And I'm going to talk about that a little much later towards the end of this, is I'll talk about different software packages. Some that I wrote, some that other people have written, and the TI-84 calculator. Okay, but whatever, they'll all work. That's the good news. So again, that's for my students, I tell them whatever works for them, but I have some that are free for them. And I like free, I'm a believer in free. And I'll show you that a little later. I can only do so much at the same time. Yeah, definitely not by hand. Oh, you would never do a test statistic by hand and a p-value. That would be hard for us, I think. I mean, that's brutal, but we could do it. T-value, man. That's but limit of integrals. I don't want to go there. Okay. So we did a bunch of things. So that's one. Notice that there's, you can read through this. I'm not going to read through every word because that's your job. We did a bunch of things. One is if they get most of these right, but they get one wrong, then they get most of the credit. So that's all there. Again, these go on and on and on. You'll notice not only that, there are hints. And so they can get help. They can link it to a video on how to calculate, setting it up, interpreting. A lot of these videos I made, and they're all on YouTube. So YouTube's good because everyone can access YouTube. So there's no problem. In fact, maybe I'll pop one up. Just I don't even know which this one's going to be, but it's going to be something. Here we go. Recognize the voice? So this is not the problem they're looking at, but it's a problem that does kind of the same idea stuff. I'm not a believer in having them see the problem and then that's it. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm more of a believer in showing them a similar problem and then hopefully they get the idea after seeing a similar problem. And this is a 6-minute video. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but I can show you. I made this video with the TI-84 calculator. And that's just, I don't know, it's what I did at the time. These are pretty old, but the nice thing is it doesn't change much. Does that make sense? The other thing we did, and I don't think this problem's got it, but if there is a name, like if we have a name of a person, we wanted to make sure we brought equity into it. So we randomize names. So every student who does it is going to get a different name, and they're randomized ethnically too. So that there's going to be a lot of Hispanic names. There's going to be some Asian names, some Caucasian sounding names, some African American type names. So even that is randomized, so that we're bringing equity into the problem sets. Okay, and that was fun. Okay, that was fun. There's a pool of names, and we just have to pick a random name, and it'll pop it in. Okay, yeah, TI has a 90-day free download for the simulator. Okay, I haven't played with it, but I know they've got it. At our college, what I do is I buy calculators, and then they can check them out for free for the entire quarter. If they can't, and our college right now is open for that. But we also have computers. I also have written computer stuff, and so has other programs. We'll talk about that later in the day. So that's the good news. This is all there. Any questions on kind of what a problem looks like? What about Wabbit Emu? Never heard of that one.
We can
Jameson,
talk
maybe
about
you
it
can.
later. I can
Okay,
post.
later. Yeah, that one's new to me. Again, one thing is I don't know everything. There's a lot out there. It does sound made up, but it isn't, I guess.
Is it okay if I post your software example for the calculators you've made in the chat? Or save it for later?
Yeah, I could do it later. I can do it now if you want. I'll just do it now because it's easy.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to avoid people playing with them right now.
That's up to everyone. So here's the link. Here's the calculators I made. Okay, so those are the calculators I developed. And yeah, so we'll definitely talk about, you copy the class. I'm going to show that in a minute. I just wanted to give you a little brief intro on what this stuff looks like. And not a problem. If you have an error, so if you find an error, and I'm not sure if I can do it in my own class, but maybe. It might be at the bottom. But there's a way where you can message the author of the problem. I don't think I can because I'm the author. I don't think it allows me to message myself. But if you copied someone's courses and then you look at it and you say there's a mistake, then you message the author. If you message me, if I'm the author, then I will fix it usually within hours and I'll make it work. Okay, and I was getting messages like a lot. There were a lot of errors, to be honest. But this particular class has been around for probably 4 years now, and there aren't a lot of errors left. I don't get a lot of messages anymore on errors. The messages are a little embarrassing to the messenger because they don't know statistics and they have it wrong. They're the professor. It's like, oh no, you don't know what a p-value is. Like whatever, and I have to kind of be nice and say, no, this really is right. This is how you do it. And I'm getting some of those, and that's okay. But there aren't too many mistakes anymore. That's the good news. Any questions? Any questions on this idea?
Since you're talking about it, I have 2 errors that I had submitted in December 5th, 2018.
Mhm.
And there's they're on my message board, and I just thought about that when you're talking. I tried to click on them, and then it says you're not enrolled in this course anymore. Return to the homepage. So I don't remember if they ever got fixed or not. How do I determine?
Were they sent to me?
No.
Okay, then I can't tell you if they got fixed because and that I don't know. If they were sent to me, they got fixed, guaranteed. Because I have fixed
If
everything.
I tell you the question ID number, are you able to look that up?
Yeah, in fact, we'll do that now. Okay, because we'll do that in a different way of thinking about it, though. How's that? So I'm going to go back, and I am going to actually go to my development site, which is different than my regular site. That won't be true of you all, though, by the way, just let you know. And I want to show you something. Even though this is a stats workshop, I know that most of you probably teach things other than stats too. So we've created algebra, intermediate algebra, beginning algebra, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, differential equations, statistics, pre-calculus, support course. We have courses in everything, okay, or a lot of things, not everything, and my math has courses in basically everything. Okay, so let me copy and paste. Okay, so this is actually my development site. Because this one is, our have a team and the team can all get in. You'll notice that it also has, and I just had to put it somewhere, Math for Elementary Ed, if you teach that class. I've created that one. I did that last summer. Did it for Ohio, believe it or not. They had me do that. And if I go open staff by chapter, this is the course that it's copied from. And if I go to, if I want to kind of look at that particular problem, I can just go to questions on any assignment. And what I can do is I can go to the bottom of this. Oh, I should mention something. When we were looking at that problem, you'll notice that there are a lot of questions. So for example, this confidence for proportions question. We created 19 different questions. So these are all different stories. And the way I've done it is I select 4 from the 19. So if the student tries again, not just changing the numbers, the whole problem gets changed, but the ideas are the same. So that's kind of how we created these. So it takes a while to scroll down. There's so many questions. There's a search, potential questions. And if I copy the number in and I click search all libraries and I hit search, it should show up. And there it is. And this was ours. If I could edit it, it was ours. So that means I fixed it. I think, let me double check. So if you preview it, does this sound familiar?
Yeah, I
So
think
you,
that,
huh?
I said, yeah, it must be. And you know,
Yeah.
when I look in the message doesn't have a response anymore, but I just can't, I click on it and it doesn't show me any reply. So it must have gotten.
Okay. So whatever you asked for probably got fixed because I always fix everything.
Thank you.
Okay. So that should have been fixed. Yeah, and you may not be in the class anymore, which means you can't see it, kind of thing. So yeah, that got fixed. And there's another one. Any questions on this? So what's nice, so we just did this. So there's a good question here. Let me check. Let me kill this guy. Sorry, you can't see that anyway. What about accessibility in MOM? Is it screen reader accessible? That is a very deep question. And accessibility is never a light thing. So let me kind of talk a little bit about it. One of the problems is that MOM is not written by a person. MOM is written by a community. So all the stuff I write, we do everything we can to make it accessible. Okay, so it is accessible if I wrote it, but that doesn't mean if someone else wrote a question that it's accessible. So that's something that is somewhat dependent on which, what you're looking at. So screen readers can read it. The math equations that are in MOM, those are accessible. David Lippman has made sure they're accessible. The graphics, like if you're doing a y equals x squared graph, I wouldn't stack, but or a normal distribution graph or something, using MOM, then those are accessible also, up to a point. You can only make it so accessible when it's a graph, but it's as accessible as it can be, I guess. So that's the good news, is accessibility they've done a really nice job with, but it's not perfect either. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay, a lot of good questions, by the way. That's the whole point. I'm hoping to get lots of questions.
I think an important note about that is that Pearson many times wasn't accessible anyway, but they did start to put out their HTML copy of the book, which if you knew where it was, because they always hid it, it was, and if you directed students that way, it was often more accessible than their e-text.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is another reason why I use why I link it to the OpenStax, is that OpenStax is accessible. So the book that it's linked to, the one I use at least, is accessible because they've got lots of money, which means they can make it work. Okay. For the pre-statistics, the book that I link to, I know it's accessible, and I know it's accessible because I wrote it. So I authored a pre-statistics book, and what I did is I wrote it in Canvas, and every time I finished a page, I did the accessibility checker. And if there are any issues, I fixed the issues, and now it's accessible. So the good news is that at least most stuff I've done are accessible. Some of the activities aren't, and that's why you have to have a plan B, because as we'll see in a little bit. Other questions? Okay, let's suppose, you're going through this, and I'm going to make this something up that's nothing to do with, a reasonable statistics class. You say, I'm teaching confidence intervals, and, for confidence intervals, my specific class I want them to know the quadratic formula. I know that's just stupid, but I can make something else up. And there's no questions in here that ask about the quadratic formula. And I want to put one in. So the nice thing is, I can go in here, and I can go to search, and I can just go quadratic formula. All I do is QU, and then it knows the rest, I guess. I could search all libraries. You could also do specific libraries. I always do search all. And then hit search. And now scroll down. And you're going to see a bunch of quadratic formula problems. And then you can go and look at them. And I don't know, I'll just pop one up. I don't think you can see it if I hit preview because it goes to a new screen. But you can trust me, I'm looking at the quadratic formula problem. And if you like it, you can put the box like that. You could do add using defaults, or you can add with your own customized stuff. I'm not going to add a quadratic formula to my confidence interval section. I would do that for my students. But the point is that you can customize it really easy. If you just go like that and you add a problem. And there are literally, I believe, over 50,000 problems in my own math. So there's a problem on just about everything you could imagine. Okay. So that's the good news, is that what you're looking for, you can find. And if you can't find it, you have two choices. One is you can code it yourself. The other one, send me an email, I'll code it for you. Okay, I'll do it. Don't expect it in 5 minutes, though. I might be backpacking, and it might take a couple days before I get back, especially in the summer. But I'll code it for you. I do that, you know, for free. I don't charge anything. So anyway, it's really easy to pop something in. Usually, though, you're going to find what you're looking for. Okay, at least up to a point. And if it's similar to what you're looking for, then it might be, you might be able to adjust it yourself with a little bit of coding. Any questions on that? Okay, let's do a little bit more. And I think I want to do this with mine now. So I got to log out and log in. Log out. Okay, so here again, this is my math. This is my class. And what you can do, let's go to my 201 class, because this is the username. I can see you like my username. That's because this Larry Green one. This is my class. I can't let anyone else in because I can't let other people see my students. That's law. But then what I did is when I had the grant, we had a team, and I broke it up into courses, and then each team for each course got into that one. And that's why I have different usernames. Okay, it's not random. Okay, so yeah, we'll get into the LibreText stuff too, I promise. So the idea is, let's suppose we want to look at chapter 3, for example. I'm just making something up. I can go like this, and I can go to settings. And in settings, I can do all kinds of different things. Okay. Oh, you know what? I may not be able to do everything. Let's see what it lets me do. Yeah, I can. It's just lots of warnings. I'm not going to really change anything. This is my live class, and I have students in it. And the last thing I want to do is erase their homeworks and all that, or change anything they've already taken this quiz. So I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm not going to save anything. Hopefully that's okay with everyone. But you can do it yourself. All right, so one thing is you can have all questions at once. You can have one question at a time. You can do what's called a video cued assignment. A video cued assignment is where there's a video they watch, and you set it so that at, like maybe at minute 2, the video pauses, and then they have a question they have to answer. They answer the question. If they get it right, the video continues, and you can have several pause spots. And that's what a video cue is. Okay. Live poll I've never used. I actually don't even know what that does. But I guess you could do a live poll. You could do quiz style or homework style. So homework is new version of individual questions. Quiz style is retake whole assessment with new versions. So do you want to have them try one question at a time and then retry a question? Or do you want to make them do the entire homework assignment or quiz? And then if they want to try the quiz again, they have to start and do the whole thing again. And again, these are different settings. And again, you hit the setting. I'm not going to do this to my students because this is the live class. But you get the idea, right? Number of versions of each question. Penalty. I never give a penalty for trying again. But if you want, you can give a 5% penalty if you want. So if they get it wrong and they want to try again, you can zap them a little bit. That's up to you. You can also set the number of tries to be they get to try once and that's it. Or you can set it to be they can try it 1,000 times. And I'm into letting them try unlimited amount of times. My feeling is that if they want to do more homework, go for it. But that's all up to you. Yeah, we'll get to Canvas in a bit too, I promise. Okay, we have till 1, so I can't do everything at once. So I'm kind of focusing on mom right now. And then you can, I don't even know what the choices are. I think that's all they got. On each question, let's see. You can have them show the answer, never, or show with the score. I like to let them see the answer when they're done with the problem, but that's up to you. Okay, there's a lot of choices in this assessment that David has put in. Mostly I do the following. So do you want to let them look at their work and review their assignment right away, or do you want to make them wait? I'm always immediate on this one. You can make them wait until after the due date. You can say, hey, you try the assignment and you never get to see it again. I don't know why anyone would do that, but you can choose that if that's what you like. We'll create a new assignment. Right now, I'm just kind of showing you some details. That's a good question. Let's do that. Let me finish this, and then we'll create a new assignment. How's that? Okay. Students can view their score. That's just immediately. Students can view the correct answer in the grade book. There's all kinds of different things. You can shuffle the item orders if you want. If you want one student's number 1 to be different than another student's number 1, you can do that. Again, I'll let you look through all this, but there are so many different choices of the assessments. You could put a time limit on it. They get 30 minutes to do the assessment. If you want to make it a quiz or test, for example. That might be, I do that with Canvas, so we'll talk about that later.
Larry?
Yeah.
Do you use the calendar icon like for homework tests, or do you do that?
So honestly, personally, I do everything in Canvas.
Okay.
And so that is more if you are going to be using Math as the LMS.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
But if you're going to be using Canvas, you don't even pay attention to it. But if you're going to be using Math as LMS, then you probably want to use the calendar icon. And honestly, I've never used Math as the LMS. So I'm not the expert on that because I always use Canvas. And Canvas works great for the students. It's a bit of a learning curve for the instructor to first do it. And then once you learn, then it's no big deal. Okay. So there's all kinds of stuff. You can prevent the hints from showing. I don't do that except for tests. And the same thing, prevent the video buttons from showing. And there's all kinds of stuff with Gradebook. I don't touch this because Canvas just does it. I don't do group assessments, but you can. Okay, there's a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to save changes, by the way, because this is a live class, and the last thing I want to do is have my students complain that I messed up their quiz. So I'm going to hit that button. Okay, Let me go to, yeah, question?
If you save changes, like let's suppose you did, does it erase the scores that they've gotten on other assignment on other questions in that assignment?
Um, I don't think it erases the scores, but it changes the assessment like midterm. But it doesn't erase the scores. And if it does, David's really good about giving a big warning.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had to make a change and you did want to, do it during mid-semester for some reason, what the impact would be.
Some changes you can make, some you can't make. So changes that don't affect a grade, you can do. Changes that affect a grade, it'll actually prevent you from doing it. Okay. Yeah. So definitely Canvas embeds it. I see a lot of questions about it. So you know what? I was gonna wait, but let's just do it. This is my course. This is my Math 203, 201 class. By the way, we call it EVE. I don't know what you call it at your college. You call it EVE? Enhanced Virtual Environment, because we're now online. So that's what our college calls it. The coronavirus classes, I'll call them. But we call them EVE. So this is my class. And this is just, this is just a class. And I have all kinds of links, by the way. Okay, and if you go, in fact, maybe I'll show you what it looks like. If I go to the quiz on chapter 12, not the quiz, the assignment on chapter 12 that is due on Sunday for my students. That's it. They don't even know they're in MOM. That's all they see. They think they're in Canvas. And then they go and do it. Does that make sense? So it's seamless for the student. Okay, in fact, if you never use the word math, they will never know what it is in the whole course because they think it's Canvas. And that is so much easier than having them go back and forth and link to an assignment and go back to Canvas. There's none of that stuff. It just happens. Does that make sense? This is recorded and it's going to be published, so I can't show you my grade book because I think I get in trouble being that these are real students. But what I can tell you is that there is a grade book, and what happens in my math gets transported right into the grade book in Canvas. Does that make sense? And I apologize if I can't show you my grade book, but I think you understand for rules. That'd be a bad idea.
Dr. Green?
Right? Yeah.
What's that square root of 0?
The
A little
equation
icon.
editor.
Actually, I've never, let's see. Oh, that's why I've never seen it, because you never care. If you don't want to use the equation editor, I don't know why I don't want to turn that off. You can turn it off. So it's something that probably doesn't need to be there. So I've never used it. I don't know any reason why you'd ever use it. But for some reason, if it was distracting to have an equation editor when there's an equation to type in, then you can turn that off.
Oh, okay. That's what that is. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it's just not, I don't think you'd ever use it.
Dr. Green.
So, okay, so maybe I'll do this. So I'm not going to go in order of what I asked for because you guys are all asking for stuff, and that's okay. So why don't I see a question on how do you get this stuff into Canvas? Okay, so that actually takes a little bit of work, and if you have a new, what I recommend is doing it all at once if you can. Okay, so what I recommend is doing it all at once. And the way you do that is you go into Canvas to settings. And then, I've never done it on a non-full screen, so it's in here somewhere. Let me full the screen. can't see you if I do that. There we go. So Canvas is a little weird that way. If you make it a full screen, then you can actually see this right menu. So then you will see import course content. Okay. Before you import the course content, you have to go to MyOpenMath and you have to export content. Now, I'm not going to do it because, again, this is a live course, and the last thing I want to do is have my students freak out because I added an assignment on them. But let me show you what you would do. You would go to export. Now, you could do the entire course, which is much easier to just have it all ready before the class starts, and then do the entire course and hit go. Or you can select items. If you hit select items, you click the items you want to put in. So maybe I want to do chapter 5 and 6. Okay. Whereas if you do the whole course, then you don't have to even think. So then one of the things you want to do, and it's really important, see this bottom one that says allow Canvas to set MyOpenMath due dates. You want that in there. Okay. And pretty much you want the default as it is. Okay, so you want that, and you also want to keep these guys in mind because you don't want to memorize them because they're ugly. There's a key and there's a secret, and you need those. Again, there's a bit of a learning curve, and you need those to be able to get those into Canvas, but they're there. What I do is I just keep that, you know, I don't close the screen. You can always get it back if you need to. Then you hit download export package or cartridge. And that I can do actually, because that won't mess anything up. That just makes my hard drive a little clouded. And then it downloads this messy file. And once you've downloaded that, and again, had you not done entire course, if you just wanted an individual item, you could do that too. Yeah, you only have to do this once. Okay, but the first time you have to do this. Okay, once you've downloaded it, then you go to your Canvas, then you go to import.
In this video, we're going to look at a different way to integrate.
There's David has done a video, by the way, on, and I'll show you that too, on how to do all this. So, because again, I'm doing a lot of little details, which you won't remember all of them. And then you go content type. And we want I believe it's a unzip zip file in the folder. You go choose file. And there it is. It's the one I just did today, it says. I click that, I go open. Oh, I think you didn't see, I don't think you see pop-up windows, but trust me, it showed my file when I was able to click on it. And I'm not going to do this because I don't want to mess up my class. But then you hit import. Got it? The last thing I want to do is make my students do every assignment twice. And then it takes about 3 minutes, and then you're in. And once you're in, then what you need to do is you need to go to the assignment. You need to do a few things. Go to the assignment. And then click on the assignment. Now, this is not what's going to happen for you the first time. It's going to give you a login. You're going to have to do the login. The other thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to settings. So there's a bit of a learning curve on this. You have to go to settings. You're going to have to go to apps. You're going to go to View App Configurations, and you're going to go and find MyOpenMath. And if you go to the gear, you can go to Edit, and see where it says Consumer Key and Shared Secret? Those are the two numbers I said you got to pop in, and you pop those in. Now, I don't need to do anything because I've already done it once, but that's how you do it. But what I've created, and I'll pop this in, is I've created a Getting Started with Math OER, And I'll put this in, oh, this is shareable, sorry. Let me go share. And good. And that is a page I wrote on getting started, and most of this is math, not everything, but most of this is math. You'll notice that the stats that I created by chapter has course ID here and here. There's also, and I heard somebody playing it, but I'm going to play it too. It says import math into Canvas. Watch the video on it here. And this is David, actually, David Littman. And it's a 10-minute video on what I just showed you. I went too fast, so you're gonna wanna look at this and just follow the steps. Okay, did I go too fast, or did I get confusing on anything? Any questions? There's a lot to it. I think the hardest part actually is incorporating into Canvas. What I found is I just take the video, the first few times I did it, and I just slowly do it one step at a time and just follow the video. And it's a really nice step-by-step video. So,
Larry, I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you have multiple classes for the same course, do you put them all into one group there on MyOpenMath and then separate them out in Canvas, or how do you organize that?
Personally, I like to organize it in, I'll show you in MyOpenMath. Let's go to, I have to log out and log in, sorry. One of the problems with MyOpenMath, by the way, is that when you preview it in Canvas, it zaps you out of your login. Then you gotta close the screen and then reopen the screen. Sorry about that, but I didn't write that. And good, now I'm in again. So you notice here I have my 2020 Spring 201. What I like to do is I will take my last class, which was should be 2020, somewhere in there. I'll just pretend. There it is. There's 2020 201, winter. And I can take that class and I can copy the class. And then I can call it 2020 spring. And I think that's the easiest way. If you don't do that, it's a bit messy. There's some issues if you don't do it. So I recommend doing what I said is copying it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but I gotta have the water or I can't keep talking. So if you don't copy it and you just keep transferring it from one section to the next, the problem is that the students are kind of grouped. And if you have a student that dropped the old class and then entered into the other class, because maybe they didn't pass or whatever, it's a complete mess. So what I recommend is doing a copy of your past class, then calling it whatever quarter you're in or whatever section you're in, and separating the classes. I found that works a lot better than having having one class with all of the sections.
Great.
That's just my feeling, but not everyone agrees with me because you can do either way. There's a little more overhead my way because you actually have to do the copying, but then you don't have the mess when you have this like student dropping and going from one class to another because they can't go from one class to another if it's the same class in MOM, and it's just a mess. Trust me. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at the chat. You may want your LMS administrator to create LTI collections for all of you. Yeah, the LMS administrator can help you out too with the LTI connection. And that, again, every college is different, so I can't really explain that one. That one you have to talk to your college people. Okay, other questions? Okay, my math is great. Yeah, question?
So when I copy a course, I copy it in Canvas. I just copy the course in Canvas. And then when I open it up to do any assignments, that's when it asks me if I want to create a copy or if I want to extend the previous class. Isn't that doing the same thing as if you copy it first in Mom?
That does the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're just as hard. It's about equal. Yeah, you could do it directly in Canvas that way, or you can do it through Mom and then Canvas. I like to do it in Canvas, in Mom first, because that way I can make changes if I feel like it, if I remember. There's always something I didn't like last quarter. And that way I can make adjustments. And it's easier to make the adjustments that way.
Right. Can you tell
So-
me about so earlier when you were looking at and talking about errors in problems, possible errors, I know most of them have all been ironed out, but if something shows up, or if we created a problem and it has an error, do you have students look for those? And if so, do you show them how to pull up the ID for the problem so that they can show it to you, or what do you do about
Okay,
that?
so what I do, because it doesn't happen very often, I just have the student email me, and then I send the instructor, and then I do it instead of having the student talk to a teacher from some other state. You know what I mean? I think it works better if faculty talk to faculty about problems than students.
But
Because the
if they
students-
say problem number 3 on homework 2,
Uh-huh.
that's not the exact rendering of the question. So do you go into their grade book to find it? Because how do you get the actual?
Yeah, so then you go into the grade book, which I don't think I'm allowed to show you. I hope you understand that. I think I can get in trouble for going into my grade book and showing a student. Does that make, because I think it's against the law for you to be able to see my students' stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I will tell you, and maybe what I can do is I can say that there's 2 kinds of grade books. There's a grade book in Canvas, and there's a grade book in Math. The grade book in Canvas just basically shows the score of the student. There's a grade book in Math, and what that does is then you can go in and look at the exact problem they were working on. You can look at what they did and what was the right answer and the answer ID and do all that kind of stuff. And that's this grade book, which if I hit, I think I'm breaking the law. Does that make sense? It's a hard one. I can't, if you have any suggestions how I could show you the grade book without violating FERPA.
Well, you just don't share, like you quit sharing for a while, you get yourself to that part of the page and you have like a notepad page covering part of it. Anyway, yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
you're
okay.
still going to see a student's name. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's a hard one. I think I'm going to have you guys like play with and talk to each other. I just don't want to get in trouble. You understand, right?
Yes.
Because these are real students and there's FERPA. I'm not allowed to show you my students' grades. Again, especially when I'm posting on YouTube, that would be a disaster. Let's see, let students know the problem. Yeah. The student, so a couple things. Also a student, my dog is in one of your classes. I like that. For my stat lab, instructors are permitted to change the buffer for answers. Okay, so maybe I'll show you about the buffer. It's not called buffer in Math, but it's the same idea. And I'll tell you what I did personally on most of these. Let's see if I can find one that actually does it. I think I need to log out. And in fact, I wonder if there's a grade book. I might be able to show you what grade book looks like in a different class, but I have to go to the not my personal one, but my development one, because that's where I can actually change things. So what I did, whether you like it or not, in these problems, if we go, since chapter 8's open already, so now I'm going to go back to questions. And then this might be a little scary, okay, if you are afraid of code, just a warning. And, oh, not true, false. That's true, false. It's true or false. So how about one of these guys? I got to edit code. So this is what the scary part of the code looks like. You never have to do this, by the way. So I want to warn you before I show it to you that this might be scary, is that this is the code. And, oh shoot, this is a bad example, sorry. There's a multiple choice. Let me get one. See where it says, there's all kinds of different types of problems. Let me go lower. Let's see if this one works better. Yeah, this is more of a code. So this is the code. If you've never coded before, just ignore what I'm showing you. Okay. And you will see something called absolute tolerance. Okay, the absolute tolerance is what you're talking about by the buffers, you called it. MyOpenMath calls it absolute tolerance, or ABS tolerance. And I set it at 0.0051, and I tell them to round to 3 decimal places. So I give them a little extra. I tell them around 3 decimal places, but they're off by a little bit. I let it go because this is not a class on how to round. This is a class on statistics. So if they miss a little bit on rounding, I don't want that to destroy them. Okay, if they're totally off, it's different. So that's why I lie to them and I say round to 3 decimal places, but except 2. And that's just, I found that works a lot better. You get no complaints and just as much learning. Okay. Pearson slams them for rounding issues. Yeah, so that was my solution. And again, if you don't like it, you can adjust it. So this is where I'm throwing a little code at you. Okay, is that it's very easy to adjust it. You're not going to be able to edit the code. You're going to have to go to make a copy of the problem that I have, and then it'll be your problem. And then you can go, and all you have to do is go change this number to whatever you want it to be. Let's say you wanted 4 decimals instead. Okay, then you put another 0 in here. You see, it's a very easy adjustment. I'm not going to do that because I actually like my 3 decimals. And then you just hit save. And that's it. So it's not hard to go into the code and adjust. What is hard is to start from scratch. Okay, my guess is most of you probably can't read all of this stuff. Okay, but adjusting is easier. And also, you could change the wording. That's much easier. So the way David has set it up is there are 2 sections of code. There is the kind of hardcore code, and that's this stuff. Okay, and that looks like your standard code stuff. And then there is the question itself. And that's the wording of the question, and that's easy to adjust. Okay, so you could say, I don't know, if you wanted a researcher in the Central Valley to make it like for you guys. I don't know if you do capitalize Central Valley, I don't care. I'm not gonna actually save it. You could. And then you hit save, and you got it. And now it's a researcher in the Central Valley instead of just a researcher. Very easy to adjust the bottom portion, which is the question. I'm gonna not put that in though. This is the part that you gotta be careful. If it has a $sign, that means it's calling up this stuff. So $CL is the variable $CL, which you'll notice is a random number, 98, 95, and 90. So it gives 3 different possible confidence levels, basically. Okay, and then $N is the sample size, and that's, let's see what we got that set at. That's a random number from 95 to 150. And then we have $D, okay, and $mean. You can. I try to make my coding. If you're a programmer, I try to make it clear what the variables mean. So hopefully you know what $ST might represent. And $mean, you might know what that means too. So I try to do that so that it's easy for me to change or people to change if you need to. But there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of random numbers and all kinds of stuff. I also do, the hints have the URLs that I put in there. And anyway, this is the code. Okay, And if you don't understand this, that's okay. You never have to go in this. But if you do understand it, you can adjust. Okay, any questions? Okay, so there's a question about global change. So let me go into the global change. Let me not save this because I don't want to change the question. So if I go back to the class, you'll see that there's something called mass change. Do you see that? What that allows you to do is to change all of the assessments at once. So you don't have to go individually one at a time and make changes. So if I go assessments, okay, and I guess you don't have to do them all, but you can check whichever ones you want. And then you can make changes. Okay, to whichever assessments you want. And that way you don't have to sit there and do one at a time. Okay, if you don't like what we set up, you can change your own setup. So for example, if you don't like a 10% default penalty, you can make it 20% or 0%, whatever you want. Okay. So you can set that up. If you can do that, you got to hit this button here and then change it, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to show you how you would do it. Sorry, the Zoom window always moves out of the way. And then you hit apply changes, which I'm not going to. Are you guys lost? I just want to make sure that I'm not like killing you with too much info. Because math has a lot of stuff. I can't go over everything because I would definitely kill y'all.
So Larry, you definitely saw that question that says this precision or tolerance on receiving the answers within a certain range that you talked about. It is only available at the question level. It's not available at the global level anywhere.
I don't think there's global level on that. I think that's question level, and it needs to be. And here's the reason. So for example, if you have a problem on sample size, that's totally different in terms of rounding than if you have a question on p-value, right? With sample size, you might want to be within 1 or 2. If you let p-value be within 1 or 2, then it's always right. Do you see the problem? So a mass change with tolerance would be a bad idea, even if it was allowed. Does that make sense? Because they really are individualized. And there's a lot of stuff, or if it's money, you don't want to go to the 4th decimal place on money. Do you see that? So every problem is customized.
I think
so I don't think it would be a good idea anyway.
I believe it was surrounding, like in Pearson, maybe you have 5 questions on confidence intervals, and you want all of those maybe to have.
Yeah, I don't think my math does that. So you just do it one at a time. Okay, it's not that big a deal though. It's not that hard. But again, you really have to go into the question, because a question on sample size and a question on p-value are completely different. And remember, these questions that we wrote have 17 parts, some of them, or whatever, 9 parts. And some parts have a different tolerance than another part, even within the same question. You see how that works? So it's more complicated than you're making it. Does that make sense? So I wouldn't recommend, even if you could do that, I wouldn't recommend a mass change.
I'm just trying to ensure that that question in the chat was fully answered.
Yeah.
So what about points? You bring up when there's 17 parts, do you always make it 1 point for the question and then it's just like 1/17 for each part? Or
That's a good question. And that's totally up to y'all, because that's easy to adjust. So that's in the question setting. Let me go back. Let me not do mass change. That's a scary one to even be in this mass change, because you can mess things up. So let's go to an example. And the way it works, Sorry, Zoom is always puts things in the way of where I don't want them. There we go. The way it works is you choose a point. So if it's got lots of parts, like some of these, add it. Let's see, I think it's settings actually. Yeah, there's some issues with the Canvas and the Math also. It's complicated. Sometimes it's easier to just let it happen. Okay. Oh, by the way, I should mention something I'm happy about. Look at the warning it says. This question is currently be used in 1,619 assessments, not students. These are classes. So if there's mistakes, that's why they're found. And we got over 1,600 different classes using it. So mistakes are going to be sent to me. That's one thing that makes me happy, is that this is used all over the world now. So you'll notice like this one has all kinds of different answers. Okay, each one of these is a different answer, just to let you know. So let me go back now. And yeah, the course analytics may be not that useful. That might be a problem with that, but it'll grade correctly at least.
Settings.
So yeah, if it goes change settings, and then we can do the points. And it's in there somewhere, I think. It's been a while since I changed points.
I think you can do it back from the previous screen. If you scroll to the very top, there's a setting for all the questions at once.
Yeah, it's at the top somewhere. It's been a while since I did one of these. Sorry about that. And also, I don't know if you've used Zoom, but I got Zoom in the way. Here we go. So default one each. There we go. And I just do one each. Every problem is 1 point. I'll tell you, there's been some research about points for problems and that kind of stuff. And they found that as long as it is greater than 0, that it makes no difference in terms of student achievement. And they've done lots of statistical analyses on that, whether homework is 2% of the grade or 9% of the grade, or if it's 0% of the grade, it makes all the difference. So people worry about it a lot, and I'll let you know, statistically, you don't need to worry about it because students don't even notice. They don't say, I got to try harder than this one because it's 10% instead of 5%.
But I just want to acknowledge, like, a true false question should be like one point, and whereas like multiple parts should be like more points worth.
Right, and you could do that. You change that right there.
Yes.
You see where it says 1 each? You can make that 1 each, and then if you want, you can make this guy, change that to a 7 each. I don't know, or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you want to do that, you can. I tend not to because the research shows it doesn't matter. And most of my points are the exams anyway. Okay, any other questions on kind of what this looks like? Any other questions? Okay, so again, my open math is great. Let me show you something. This is important. And I'm gonna have you do some stuff. I think it's important for me not to just talk. Move my Zoom
Gary,
windows. Yeah.
you want to talk about those support course and training courses right there, like on the bottom?
Okay, I could do that too if you want.
Not
so
that
we
one.
had
Not that one. The very on the bottom.
so support course for statistics.
No, not that one.
That support course. There's 2 support courses.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So the support course and training course are helping you learn how to do math. And David Littman has set up a really nice help set. And it's got a lot of things. It has the forums, but it also has all kinds of helps. So let's go. If I go to Let me go to training courses, even better. I go to training course and I want to learn how the assessment settings work. I can click that. And here's a video on making assessments happen. And David has done a really good job with this. Okay, and it's really easy to find, easy to get to. And you can learn about anything you want. It goes on and on, by the way. Okay, question and assessments, finding questions, putting it together, modifying questions, etc. Each assignment is worked the same way. Yeah. We suggest now while there's transition into place. Yeah, like I said, it's, you know, whatever works is good. So anyway, these are really nice. So the video cued assignments, as I mentioned, you can create a video cued assignment. Here's a 5-minute video on how to do that. If I did everything he does, then we would have a 1 month session instead of a 1 day session. I can only do so much. But he's done a really nice job, and I recommend you take a look at these things. Okay.
So Larry,
definitely, yeah.
a quick question, and then maybe we could take a 10-minute or 15-minute break, whatever you have time for. I saw Julie asked, each homework assignment is worth the same weight, no matter how many points it is, right? Do you understand her question?
Yeah, and that's up to you.
Right.
You could do that in Canvas. You could weight things in Canvas. Or you could weight it in MyOpenMath. I tend to weight it in Canvas. You just go to Canvas and you make the points on the Canvas.
So to basically answer that question, they don't have to be worth the same weight is what we're telling her.
No, they don't have to be. Definitely don't have to be. Yeah, you could weight them more in, or not weight them more. That's totally up to you. Yeah, there's a lot of options. Sometimes so many, it's hard to keep track.
And you see those 2 questions, how do you get to the page with all the helper videos? And David said that it's in the trainer course.
Yeah, so let me go back and then I'll show you. So here's home. And you'll see courses you're taking, which is different than courses you're teaching. We all take the training course. And you just click training course. So that's on your home screen. So that's the good news, really easy to get to. But again, everything's easy if you know.
Larry?
Yeah.
Are the all instructors enrolled in these 2 courses automatically, or they have to enroll in these 2 courses? The support course?
I think it's automatic. Honestly, it's been so many years since I actually I started MyOpenMath. I think it just was automatic, but I'm not, maybe someone who's more recent can tell me. Good. Yeah, I thought it was automatic, but again, it was so long ago, I don't remember.
So I'm not seeing it in mine, but I don't know if it's because of how long ago I started it.
Yeah, but I started about 7 years, it was like 5 years or 6 years ago.
Mine says the courses you're taking, and I'm not enrolled in anything, but I'm sure I could enroll in.
You have to hit enroll in. You might have chose not to, when there might have been a default thing and you might have killed the default. That's probably, it was probably default, and yeah, you overrode the defaults is my guess when you first did it.
Well, seeing that it's about 10:30, do you think a 15-minute break is okay then?
Yeah, let me do something though.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a break assignment. So what I want you to do is I want you to go into your MyOpenMath. And I want to see if you can import, but I want to show you how to do it. It'll take about 20 seconds to show you. And then while you're at break or after whatever, to see if you can get the course in there. So what you can do, you go to add new course, and you can go copy a template or promote a course. If you happen to have a course that you know about and someone has sent you the number for the course, you could do it that way. But if you don't and you just want to browse, you hit browse. You can go level, and you can go to statistics. And then there's a lot of choices. This is the support course one that I did. That's the support statistics one. But let's see. There's so many. I think it's lower. The open stacks by chapter is the one I was showing you. And let's see during break or after break if you can get the course into your MyOpenMath so that you know how to do that. And then you can ask questions if you can't figure out how to do that. Does that make sense? You could also preview the course instead of copy the course. You choose. But if you copy the course, then you have it in your shell. And there's no commitment or anything like that. Everything's always free. And it doesn't hurt anything to have more courses other than this clip.
Wait, so can you show the title on that? Because I don't see the title. It's just a little bit under.
Right
Oh,
there?
that one. Okay.
Yeah. OpenStack statistics by chapter topics. Okay. Or if you want to do by section, I think it's the next one, the one just before. Somewhere in there. It's somewhere.
Larry, I have a question. I already have that course in my list, but it could have been from years ago. So is this one that you, I mean, if you made changes to this one, would those automatically be reflected in mine?
Okay, so if I make changes to an individual problem, they're reflected. If I add a problem, I'm pretty sure they're not.
So I
Or
could
if I
just
add
read-
an assignment, but I don't think I have I don't think I've added a full assignment in a long time. But I
Okay.
made lots and lots of changes because everyone's telling me to fix mistakes, and I fixed them. So I've made hundreds of fixes, and that gets automatically fixed.
Okay.
So if I fix it, it gets fixed for the whole world. So that's your homework. That's your break assignment. Sound good? I think it's good to have something to try doing and make sure everyone's got it, and that way you can ask questions if you can't figure it out. And I agree. Let's take a break. I can get a drink of water, and then what? 10 minutes or so?
You tell us 10 or 15, what do you want?
Yeah, 10 sounds good. So 10:42. And I'm gonna pause the recording so we don't have 10 minutes of nothing. There. Okay, so in the theme, honestly, I'm just not very artistic or whatever, so I just use whatever the default is. So if you have some favorites, go for it. Sorry if I'm not a really good help on that one. But it's not like it's going to change a whole lot of the structure of the course and that kind of stuff. It gets embedded in the Canvas anyway, so I don't think it matters. Does that make sense? Yeah. So since it's embedded in Canvas, I don't think the theme makes any difference. That's only if, I think that's if you're using the LMS for math, which I don't. But you can if you want to. Math was in. Okay, so if we go to maybe I'll pick I'm going to do a probability one, a little less complex. So if we go to probability, and how about, where is it? I missed it. There we go. And I go to questions for this assignment. So I want to note something that's really easy to do. And what I have done is I've grouped assignments. I've grouped problems. It's really easy to group problems, and it's really easy to make adjustments. So for example, in, I don't know, this second group, it selects 1 from 6 without replacement. Well, I choose 2 instead without replacement. And now all of a sudden the student does 2 of those problems instead of 1 of those problems. See how easy that was? And that's it. Okay, I think at the end there might be a save button, but I'm not, yeah. No, I think it's saved automatically, but that's it. I think I'm gonna go change that back to 1 though, so I don't forget later. That was, which one was it? That was this one, wasn't it?
Second group.
Yeah, this one. So I can go back to 1 so I don't mess it up from all the classes. But that's how easy it is. It's nothing to change the number number of questions per group. I can also, you make it choose from a group of problems so that students in the same class don't get, yeah, exactly. And it's a little more than that. So you're saying, do I do it so that students don't get the same questions? But actually, by doing this, I can allow for multiple attempts. And then when they try 3 times, they're going to get a different, a completely different problem with the same idea all 3 times. So they're not just adjusting the number of the answer, they actually have to understand the concept. So that's why I do the group problems more than students not being able to share with each other, but more so that a student can try multiple times and finally get the concept. Whereas if you let them try multiple times and it's not grouped, they're not going to usually get the concept. They're just going to see how the numbers combine together and they're going to put that number in. Does that make sense? So that's my philosophy. And again, we all have different philosophies, but that's my philosophy. You will see that you can ungroup. So I can get rid of this one. I'm not going to, but I just check that one. And I click ungroup, and it will take that one out of the group. If for your class you didn't like that problem in that group, you can do that. Does that make sense? Really easy. And that's it. Now I'm not going to hit ungroup because I don't want to get rid of a problem. But you can do that, and you can, combine. You can combine 2 groups. You can do whatever you want. Any questions on that? You can also go to action. I'm not going to do this either. I can hit remove, and that gets rid of the problem completely. So if you don't like a problem, you can get rid of one. Okay. Let's say we want to add a problem. I've got to give you a warning. This is hard. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something that's not easy. Let's suppose we want to make our own problem up. So the first thing I recommend is don't start, or even ever basically start from scratch. There's no reason to. There's always a problem that's not that much different than the one than something that someone else has done. Okay, you can always start, and what I can do is I can go to a problem that I like. I don't know, maybe I'll find, how about a deca part? Let me see this one. Oh, you won't be able to see if I do this, but I just want to make sure it's not too complex. And that one's a bit complex. How about the M&M problem? Let's see. Now, how about doing the number? I want to keep it easy. Here we go. Relative probability survey, yes problem. And it has a number answer. So I can go to action. And I can template. And what that does is it basically makes a copy. Then what I can do is I can change it. So now this is probability from a table, ABC. Let's read this, and we're going to make a change out of it. With toggle editors, you can see it. So this was giving a test to a group of students, and grades and gender summarized below, grades versus gender. If one student was chosen at random, find the probability of the student blank. Probability is that. Okay. All right, so let's suppose I don't like it to be grades versus gender. I want it to be something else. I don't know. What do you want to have a table of? Pop in the chat box something you'd like to see. Okay, so employment. Okay, but it's something versus something. So employment versus and grades. I'm going to pick something other than grade just so we can adjust things. Okay, how about employment? So let's go instead of gender. Oops. We just go to employment. And instead of grades, I want to pick something guys show you how randomization and stuff works. And instead of grades, how about salary? Sound good? And of course, you're not going to have male and female employment. Better not. That's just bad. Okay, instead, employed. Do you see, I'm not doing anything fancy. So I'm starting out with just popping into the question and not employed or unemployed. Any questions so far? Okay, and then we're gonna have salary. So how about low, medium, and high? I'm just making it up as we go. By the way, I did not prepare this, but I've done my math enough that I know how to do this. Any questions so far? So now we just go ahead and we go, if it's not, one student was chosen at random, find the probability that student something. So we get to change all these things. But the words so far are probably good, actually. Okay. And probability equals answer box. Round to 4 decimal places. That's probably fine. Giving a test to a group of students, not grades and gender, but now it is the, let's see, that was employment. Actually, it was the salary and employment are summarized below. Any questions on that so far?
Giving a test.
What's that?
So it says giving a test to a group of students. So
oh yeah, we don't want to give a test. Thanks. All right. Survey. How's that? Surveying a group of students. The salary and employment are summarized below.
yes.
However you want to word it. That's the important thing. But I just want to show you how easy that was. So that's the easy part. And that is taking the words and just adjusting the words. Very easy to do. Okay, then you go ahead and you look at all the stuff. Okay. So the first thing is we have all these MA, MB, MC, FA, FB, FC. Okay, those are these numbers, and what these are the number of people that they selected in those categories, right? It's in a contingency table. So let's suppose that we didn't want to go from 2 to this. What this does is it's going to choose different random numbers with the low of 2 and the high of 20, and we're choosing 6 of them. And we need 6 because you'll see that there are 6 of those guys. And in the coding, you put a $sign before the name of a variable. That's how this particular code works. That comes from PHP, by the way. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. Again, this is going to be hard for some people, but I figured I'd get our feet wet a little bit. So let's suppose we don't want it to go from 2 to 20. Let's suppose that we want a bigger sample. Sound good? Mm-hmm. So maybe we're going to go from 50 to 200. Any questions on that? Okay. So now, again, we're trying to read through the code, and that's sometimes the hard part, is what all this stuff means. I actually didn't write this code. I think Cindy wrote it. Okay, so all 6 of these can work. Let's see what these are. Okay, well, hopefully you can see what MA plus MB plus MC are. That's going to be the total employed. Do you see that? And similarly, FA plus FB plus FC will be the total unemployed. You can change the letters if you want, but you don't have to. But if you change it, you get to change it everywhere. Okay, and then we have AT, BT, CT, and total. So those are all fine, right? That just gives you, so these 3 guys are the column totals, whereas these 2 are the row totals. And this is the grand total. I think. Let me double check.
Larry,
Oh, no, that's not, yeah.
since you're working within a browser, if you want, because normally if I've coded in something that has an easy control and replace or find and replace.
Mhm.
If you wanted to make those replacements, do you use any technique like, is there a find and replace in the browser? I know there's find.
I'm not sure, but honestly, the code is never long enough to have to worry that much about it.
Okay.
It's one problem at a time. It's not like you're doing a whole assignment. So I've never needed to do that. You know, there's usually 2 or 3 places you got to change it. That's it. You're not changing 45 places, because I definitely understand the find and replace it, and I've used that many times.
So you don't
But I
copy
use
and
it.
put it into something else, like you don't put it into another, I don't know, notepad and then copy it back. You just do it all there.
Yeah, I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I do it all there. The only time I will sometimes put in a notepad, and that's because of something I'm not perfect at, is sometimes I'll put this part in Notepad, but not Notepad, Microsoft Word, and check for grammar mistakes. Because this doesn't have a grammar and spelling mistakes. It has spelling mistakes because it's Google, but it's my browser, but it doesn't do grammar mistakes well. So that'll help you with grammar mistakes, but I usually do a preview and then do the grammar mistakes. Other than that, I don't really use other browsers, anything like that. Okay. So now I got to read what these things are. We've got A, got a B, got a C. We have A, B, and C. Now we don't want got an A. What do we want it to say? Yeah, A is probably high salary. Is it? No, that would be low salary, right? That'd be low salary. And then got B would be medium salary. And then got a C would be high salary. Any questions on that? Okay. And because we're looking at this, and again, this is where you have to go and see what's going on. We have this P4 and we have $L. And you have to go find it. That's usually the hard part. Okay. And here, if one student was chosen at random, find the probability of the student. And then P4 of 0. Okay. So we have low salary, medium salary, high salary. And then we have, I think A, B, and C. That might be fine. We'll have to play around to see what this person was writing with A, B, and C. And then we have this answer, okay? Which I think will work because these are probabilities. Any questions on that? I'm a little worried about the A, B, and C, so I'll figure it out, you know? You could do quick save and preview. And I think I have to reshare desktop because I don't think you can't see that, right? Pretty sure you can't. Pop-ups can't be seen with the Zoom sharing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. And let me find there we go. And let's see what it looks like. Serving a group of students, the salary and employment are summarized below. Salary versus employment, here we go. If one student was chosen at random, find the probability that the student, high salary, probably had a high salary. You can fix it. It's really easy to fix that. Here's our probability, and that's it. And then show answer, probability is 0.4796. So I probably want to fix the high salary, very easy to do. Let me share. Let me go back so you can see it. So we say, oh, that didn't work, so we need had A. And you can put it here if you want. And we probably don't want them capitalized because that didn't look so good. And then it'll look a lot better. Okay, so students will get this problem, but each time they retry, it'll have a different numbers from them exactly how it works. Okay, and in fact, if you wanted to, you could even randomize these words. And then they get different words too. Does that make sense? And in fact, here, let me show you something you can do. You can go $name surveyed. I do this a lot. A group of students, the salary and employment are shown below. If one student said, okay, so now I need to say what name is. And go $name. And what I want it to do is give me a random name. Let me show you what you do. And I do some weird sharing desktop thing. You can go to writing questions help. And let me do a new share. I do this all the time. And you'll see my Open Math help. And I can even go Control F, name, and it'll show it. I use Control F all the time. And hey, look at that. I got a random name. You could do random name with pronouns. This particular one, I'm not using a pronoun, but if you want to use a he or she or whatever, you can do that. But you could do a random male or female. I think I'd rather do a random name. And I'm just going to copy that. And now let me new share. And then go back up. So $name equals rand name. So now if I go, let's save it. And let me go to new share. And hopefully this worked. Aha, Landon surveyed a group of students. Okay, and by the way, if I do submit and regen, now Lindsay surveyed. And if I submit and regen, Gabriel surveyed. So there'll be different, just random names pulled out of a hat. Okay, that has a lot, that does have ethnic names, non-ethnic names, it's just a mix. And he tried to make them proportional ethnicity-wise to the US, is the way David made his. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Okay, and I love the random name thing. Makes it a little more personalized. Any questions?
So I know that you've been building libraries for linear algebra, not linear algebra, differential equations and things like that. Is all that done now, like the calculus classes and everything else?
That's a good question. So let me show you. Let me show you a different screen.
And I don't mean to take us off if you want to stay with statistics. I was just,
Oh no, this is fine.
I had been talking to someone about going OER with calculus. And so
Okay, so here's what we got.
was.
Okay, this is the getting started, and I try to update it when I got something. So here we go. We have a beginning algebra class. We have intermediate algebra class. We have pre-calculus, college algebra. We have Calc 1 and Calc 2. There's a challenge in the Calc 1 too because we're a quarter system, but there's a semester system. So sometimes you have to like pick the things you want. We have Calc 3. Notice it says linear algebra, still a work in progress, so we don't have that one yet. Okay. One of these days I'll have time to do that one, but that's like last on my list because I don't think it's ever going to be that. Differential equation. Okay. We have a pre-co-rec for statistics. We have elementary statistics. We have a math for elementary ed teachers. And we have a support course for college algebra and pre-calculus. So that's what we've created in our group. Now, there's other courses too that other people created, but these are the ones that we created. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, I remember. And so I see there you're telling us that you're still working on the linear algebra, and that's cool.
Yeah, linear algebra may be years because I don't have a good solution for linear algebra. There's just so many proofs in it. And to have a student do multiple choice proofing doesn't really work.
I was looking at your calc. This was probably a couple years ago, and I didn't choose it. I'm guilty as charged of being still with Pearson, but I didn't choose it because there wasn't enough variety of homework problems. Has that gotten better?
Yeah, so it's gotten better, and it's going to get better as it goes. I'm actually teaching it right now. In fact, I can show you that one because I'm teaching it. That one's easy. Whoops. Yeah, I can show you in Canvas if you want. I can my course. There's Math 107, which is our third quarter calculus. And like I lectured yesterday on it. So this one got improved a lot. And so, for example, we're towards the end, and we're doing power series right now. And actually, let's go to the assignment. So tomorrow's exercise, properties of power series. So, I mean, it may not be exactly what you want, but let me try to make sure that there's something in everything.
Okay.
And there's a link to the textbook, link to the videos. Does it have everything? Probably not, but the assignments are quite long for the students, I'll tell you that. I also put in true falses that you haven't seen before. So those are some new ones. And I tried to find, the funny thing, I think probably less than a 50% success rate on true false, which is kind of scary. But what I did is I grabbed all the things students make mistakes on, where I know that they actually don't get it. So I want them to learn what's right.
I love true false. I give them all the time.
Yeah, I do true false, and then on quizzes, tests, I do true false and proof for my calculus. Okay, but there's definitely off topics. I don't want to spend much time because we're doing stats. Off topic again. Teach calc at university. Still using BB. I don't know what BB is, but does Mom integrate well with BB?
Blackboard.
Oh, Blackboard. Okay. Mom does integrate with Blackboard, but I have not done it. But I know it does because I know that there are questions about it on the forum. So I know people are using it with Blackboard. What I'm not going to be able to do is tell you how, because I have no idea. Because it's not my, I do Canvas. I did Blackboard, I think 15, 16 years ago. And that's the last time I touched it. Because we moved.
When you mentioned forum, you're referring to training course forums, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll see things about Blackboard and you can take a look. But again, since we're a Canvas state, I think I'm going to stick with Canvas.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Let me go to where we are to see if we've done everything. Other mom issues, I think we're there because I think I've talked about the stuff we need to do. And again, I can't give you every detail. We don't have the time. Any other things you'd like to see with Mom? You're thinking, I'll drink. Vodka,
So
not just
the
kidding.
regression section where you're doing the graphs, I haven't tried to modify anything there. And I also noticed there at the time it didn't seem like there wasn't a lot of problems for the regression chapter. Has there been more added? Is it pretty easy to manipulate?
I don't think we added any. I can go to it though. Let's go to math. May not let me because I've gone and looked at it from somewhere else. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, it does. So if I go to my stats, believe it or not, at 1 o'clock, I'm teaching regression analysis. So you guys are off. I've got 9 hours of Zoom today. So if we go to chapter 12. Oh, you probably want to see it the other way. So there's pretty many problems. I mean, is it 1,000? No, but I mean, how much is there for regression? So we have a group of problems. If you want to add a problem or you want to, get us to add problems, we can do that.
I guess I was looking by sections. I guess mine's set up by sections because I've got like 5, but the second section probably has another 7 or something.
Yeah, see, I always do it by chapter. I find that works better. But again, we all have, but it might work better to do by section for your class. But it has, a bunch of different regression problems. Create a scatter plot. Yeah, there aren't a lot in some of these groups. We only have 2 or 3, but I don't know. But sometimes they have more. 1 out of 5, 2 out of 8. There's pretty many problems though. A lot of true falses. I found that true false is really important for regression because I want them to know that they can't say, if this happens, then this other will happen. Because I want them to stay away from causation. But if you want to see any of this, I can show you.
I think Jameson was talking about like question number 5, wherein you graph the points. Question number 5, right there.
Scatter plot. Yeah, I can preview. Yeah, I think you can't see it. So I think right, you can't see that, right?
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah, so let me show you what it looks like. Just a minute. New share. There we go. Okay, now you should see it. So the following is data. Okay. For the first and second quiz scores for 8 students in the class. Okay, so here you go. And by the way, these numbers are randomized. So if I go ahead and hit reversion, you'll notice the numbers are different. Do you see that? So if they try it again, they'll get different numbers. Plot the points on the grid below. So I don't know, 11, 11. So they got to click the point button, and they go to 11 and 11. And there we go. Okay, I'm not gonna do this whole one because it'll take all day. It's long, it's pretty long. But they can plot these and then use the line above to predict the value of the second quiz score if they got an 18. Okay. So then sketch a line, and to sketch a line, you click line, and you do that. This isn't the right answer, but I just want to show you. What does the code look like? The code's a little messy, so let's do that. Let me new share. So here's the code. I don't think I have time to go over how to code graphing. One thing is I always start with somebody else's, but it goes on and on. But some of the nice things, there's a snap to grid 1. And what that will do is when you click on a point, click to graph a point, it will move it to a whole number point, right? A lattice point. So then there's all kinds of things. There's grid equals, and there's all these numbers. Again, I think it'd be many hours for me to fully explain how to do graphing. But what's nice is that the writing questions help. Just a second, I gotta reshare. The writings question help. if you go to, I think it's graphing, if I remember right.
Drawing.
Drawing, that's right. One of those. It's been a while since I grabbed it. There we go, drawing. Then it tells you all the code stuff that you have. Okay, one thing it doesn't do a good job of, and maybe David will fix someday, doesn't have like a link to an example in the help buttons in this. But again, you'll see it's long. So you can limit or expand tools by all these different types of things. So if you didn't want to have all those on that, you can just do point and line, for example. And you could limit. Okay. But it goes on and on. These are, you know, this is not a small thing. This would take a long time to explain. But you can do all kinds of things, ellipses and hyperbolas and horizontal parabolas and etc., vertical lines. And you make your answer format to be whatever you want it to be. I know it's not the full answer, but I think it would take hours to go through all of this.
Larry, I've had some success in you guys have so many problems out there that anytime I see something I like or I want to change a question, I don't really understand this code very well, but I'll just copy one of your other questions and it's really easy to fix or make any changes I want. If I want to add a multiple choice answer at the end of a question or remove it or something.
Exactly. That's why I kind of did that one example where I took one that was already up there and I just kind of changed a few things. And it wasn't that hard, was it? Yeah, and not just you. I do it too. There are some I had to do from scratch because if there's nothing like it, I do from scratch. When I created the math for elementary ed, most of that was from scratch because no one had done anything like that before. There's a lot of exploration stuff. But stats is all out there now. Algebra, calculus, it's all out there.
I know you
That's
didn't
the good
mention
news, is you copy and paste.
Yeah, the contemporary math is out there too. We just started using that. It's
Great. Yeah, and again, go to when you go to copy a course, it'll give you a long list of different choices, and you just find one that looks good, and you preview it first. If you like it, then you make that your copy. That's my recommendation. Don't ever start from scratch. That'll take a whole year with a group, like in our stats class. The stats class was not out there when we started. But now it is. I couldn't have done it by myself. Cindy and Jessica really helped. Any other questions about MyOpenMath? Or any thoughts that you'd like to see? I think I want to move on to other stuff now because we don't have that much time left.
Is there like a new MyOpenMath system as well? Like new math versus the old MyOpenMath?
There's new. So it's not like it's going to suddenly become everything is different all at once. That'd be a nightmare, actually. But there is the new layout that happened this year. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. There's the old layout and the new layout. And now you have to use the new layout, which is actually good. The new layout's pretty good. It had some bugs and they just fixed most of them. Okay, but that's the good news is that there's a new layout. But other than that, it's not as if it's going to be a switch from MyOpenMath old to new and it's going to look totally different. There's little tiny tweaks and additions that he puts in all the time. That's more like how it works, and that's much better.
Is David still teaching?
I think so. I met him. I spent a weekend with him a couple years ago, but it's not like we're best friends or anything. He's a nice guy though. He came to Tahoe to work with our group, which was nice. We paid for him, of course. And he's a really good guy. And I think he's still teaching. Yeah, I don't know how he does everything. He's pretty amazing. Okay, so that's MyOpenMath. What I want to do, just so that we're there, I want to make sure, I think we've done all this. I want to move on to other things that are there. Because again, there's more to math than MyOpenMath, but we spent a lot of time on MyOpenMath already more than half of the whole time was math. I want to show you other things that are there. Okay, first thing is textbooks. So a textbook from, a publisher usually costs hundreds of dollars. And for our students, that doesn't work very well. And if they get it online and it comes with the homework system, it's still $100 or something, or $80, or it's a lot of money for them. So my feeling is there's no reason to make your students spend that kind of money when they're out there. I want to show you what we've done in LibreText first to show you kind of what could happen. And I have so many screens open. Let me get rid of a bunch. I don't need any of the videos. I had at one point. That was, okay, so let me go to the statistics. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's a $5 million grant that LibreText, Delmar Larson applied for. And he put me in charge of statistics. So I am the statistics leader for LibreText. Okay, it doesn't mean I know everything, but I do what I can. And if you go to bookshelves, and you go to introductory statistics, then what, and I haven't done this, but I've helped. There's a team of students actually that are doing it because they're cheaper. There's a whole lot of books in LibreText out there. Okay, so there's OpenStax, there's Schaefer and Zhang, there's Lane, and I don't know all of these, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, there's even Support Course. And I wrote this one, by the way. So that one I can claim. All the rest of them I didn't write. And those are books. And what I like about LibreText is you can adjust it, modify it, do whatever you want with it. You could even take 2 books and combine them, and you can do that. That's all possible. And I've done some of that, and I'll show you one of my products. Okay, so for example, this is the OpenStax book, because that's the one I know most, because it's the one I use. And it's the same as OpenStax. Looks slightly different in terms of the table of contents, but all it is basically a copy and pasted. And you can go to normal distribution. And I don't know, standard normal, I'm just randomly grabbing stuff. And there's the OpenStax book. Okay, you can take other books, you can do what's called the remixer. I don't think I have time to show you a whole remix, how to do it and all that, but there's a video on how to do that. And so there's all kinds of stuff. So let me show you an example of what I did. So now if I go to courses, and I scroll to Lake Tahoe Community College. And by the way, this is public. Just because it says Lake Tahoe Community College doesn't mean you have to be at Lake Tahoe Community College to use it or see it. Okay, what it does mean is that if you want to modify it, you have to make a copy in your area. And then it'll be yours, and it'll have your college. So what I did is I created introductory statistics, OpenStax, but I want to redefine the textbook. So my feeling is textbooks are what, 1,000 years old or something? I'm not a historian, but how long old, right? Okay, let's see, interested in the code. Let's see, I think that might have been an old one. Code for graphing, that's good. Let's see. Is your battery low? I'm plugged in. I don't have a battery. Just reading the chat. So I think, I'm not sure what this all comes in. Right, they have no animation or videos. So here's what I did. I remixed it. And so let's pop something in. So if you go to I don't know, how about central limit theorem? And if you go to maybe central limit theorem for means. Okay, this is OpenStax, and pretty soon it won't be. And then there's a discover the central limit theorem activity embedded into the book. So on this one, you can click skewed left, for example. Here's the mean and standard deviation of this particular skewed left. You can choose a sample size. And it just randomly selected. I think I just scroll a little bit. 10,000 samples, each with sample size 25. And hey, take a look, it's not skewed left anymore. Okay, you can also do a new distribution. You can do a user. I call this the Yosemite distribution. If you ever hiked in Yosemite, it kind of feels like this, up and down and up and down. And then do the same thing. How about n equals 2? And it just did 20,000. So this is an example of what you can do right in the textbook. Okay, and I put it in. Okay, there it is. Okay, now here's some more. This is still OpenStax. And now this isn't OpenStax anymore because I put these in. So now we have an online calculator for means. So the low, okay, and by the way, I get, so I enter the low, high, median, standard deviation, sample size, and then hit calculate to find probability. Okay, you could also enter in the probability, leave either the low or high blank, and it'll find the missing value. So here's the low, I don't know, how about 9 to 15, just making some stuff up. The mean is 12, standard deviation is 6, sample size is 3, and calculate, and there we go. So I tried to make it easy, did my best, and that way while they're reading through the book, they have their calculator embedded right into the book, okay? And this uses JavaScript, which means it should work on any device. It even like gets small for a smartphone because students like to use smartphones. I can't do that, but students for some reason can. And then if you scroll down a little more, now we got videos. And that's a video on the central limit theorem. Okay, and then there's another video. And then we're back to the book again. Examples, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And this is the OpenStax book. And what I did is I took the OpenStax book and I embedded my stuff. Yeah, vast majority work on their $1,000 smartphones. That's true. My computer was like 400. Okay, can this be imported in Canvas? Sure, sure. It can be imported right into Canvas. So, and that's just because this is just a link. I'm not sure, you know, how beautiful it looks, but it's just it's a web page. And yeah, it is importable into Canvas. Okay. What I tend to do is I just have links to it, but you know, however you want to do it with Canvas. Any questions on this idea? Okay, so this was my idea. And again, what I will let you know is like that central limit theorem activity, you can code it yourself or something like it. Good luck. That was really a lot of work. But you could use mine or you could use someone else's, you know what I mean? You could embed stuff in. And same thing with the calculators. Any questions on kind of what I call where is it? Just a minute. I call it introductory statistics with multimedia and interactivity. And I think this is a lot better for students than just a static textbook. What I learned is with the static textbook, I would only have a handful of people that would ever look at it. And with this, I'd say about half. Still half don't look at it. If you have ideas how to get everyone to look at resources, but at least more people look at it. Okay, where are some resources for LibreText and creating your own textbook? Can you pull single chapters so it can be embedded into Canvas modules? Yeah, so first thing is that this is so if you look at this, this is linked, the way it worked is in here. If you click at chapter 3, that's your single chapter right there. Put that in Canvas. Does that make sense? So these are separate pages, if that's what you're wondering. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. For the LibreText, if you go to, and it's been a while since I found it. Oh, these are the different, that's statistics, by the way. I think I might have to go to statistics. Yeah, there we go. You go to Remixer. So this is the Remixer. And it does say works best in Chrome. So hopefully you have Chrome. Most people do. And then we can remix. There's a tutorial. You can show it. And then it'll give you the information on how to do it. Enable auto number, so that way if you are like using some exercises and not others, and you like skip number 3, then it'll automatically make number 4 number 3, so that it is looks prettier. So have you heard of Parasol? Haven't heard of Parasol, but sounds good. Sorry if I haven't heard of that one. So you can copy transclude. What that does is it just copies, and you can get rid of stuff that you want to get rid of, and you can put things in from other stuff. So just testing Remixer, more stats. And there's the tutorial. And let's see, I don't know if I want to do the whole thing, but this is kind of how you do it. And there's a video on it and the whole bit. So I have to go find book, I think. And by the way, you can include fork or transclude. Fork means that you can put in your own stuff. The problem with that is that if you put in your own stuff and then it gets, then there's a fix that happens in LibreText, it won't automatically get fixed on yours. So that's why the transclude is better. I think we're in demonstration mode. I think I don't want to do the whole thing, but I can go and grab what I want. It's been a while since I did one of these, but start over. Number of chapters. Let's say you want 5 chapters, number of pages, 2, I don't know. And then you can remix. I don't have time to go through all of it. But I just want to show you that this was that you can do this, and then you can go find stuff and embed it in and stuff like that. Any questions on the idea? Okay, so
Larry, you've worked with LibreText. Did you work with any OER textbooks before? Like how many have you worked with Merlot and OpenStax? And
all right, let me start with Merlot.
No,
so first thing is the editor for statistics for Merlot is me. And mathematics is me also. So I'm actually the chair for Merlot. So yeah, and I've been doing Merlot since Merlot started. So the answer is yes, I've worked from Merlot. Merlot is great for finding things, for writing a single page. It's not good for creating a whole book. I wouldn't recommend Merlot for a whole book. It's good for a page, and it's good for finding things. I was actually going to show Merlot if I have time also. Okay, OpenStax I have not worked for, but I use them a lot. But Merlot, I can answer anything you want about Merlot because I'm in charge of Merlot math.
Well, I really like hearing this because obviously as I see you evolve, it helps me to kind of jump further in the evolution and I don't have to go back from the beginning.
Yeah, Merlot is great for looking for stuff because it has everything and they're also peer reviewed. Okay, LibreText is good for kind of the top things out there only. Does that make sense? But if you want kind of minor stuff, then Merlot's better because LibreText won't have any minor stuff at all. It only has maybe the top 5 books. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so and OpenStax has their books. And the nice thing about OpenStax is they do a really good job of keeping their books up and updated. So that's what's good about OpenStax is that, you know, it's special and it's all, and LibreText is also, but OpenStax and LibreText are accessible for disabilities. So that's always a good thing. Any other questions about this? I want to show you something else that that I personally did, just for fun, because you got to have fun, right? Let's go back to stats.
Download as well?
Hmm?
You can show downloads as well right there by Remixer.
Show downloads. What do you mean?
People can download the Canvas.
Yeah, you can download, and download's especially important if you're going to make a paper copy, because then you can get a PDF version.
No, they can get LMS copy as well, right?
Yeah, LMS, PDF, online, however you want.
Yes, that's a
Yeah. So for example, we are at our college, we teach at the prisons, and prisoners would hit each other with computers, so they're not allowed to have a computer. Well, it's a different world. And so we download as PDF and we hit print. But if you want to pop it into your LMS, you can hit LMS and go right into Canvas. And that's how you embed into Canvas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So good question. Good question. And I want to show you another thing that I'm pretty happy with. And that is ancillary materials. And I have created a whole group of calculators and games and stuff. I've also embedded them all, or most of them, into the OER. So they can thump each other to, yeah, yeah, they could, yeah, the PDF document cannot be bound with little metal rings because they could kill each other with the metal rings. It's amazing in the prison. So we have to have a paperback only. Okay, so what I did is I made all kinds of things. So let me just show you an example because I haven't shown you a game yet, but I'm a believer in games, but they're hard to come up with, okay? They take a long time to program, but they're so much fun to program. So here's shoot down money at the correct correlation game. So you're given a correlation and your money will be flying through the air. You must shoot down the money until the correlation for that scatter plot is within 0.1 of the correlation goal that is shown. You can destroy the money by shooting it down, but when you do, you're going to lose that much money, and the bill will turn into a point that becomes a part of the scatter plot, or the $100. You end with as much money as you can. Click start. Okay, to start the game, use buttons below, left and right arrow, or left and right arrows to rotate the gun, and the up key to shoot. Okay. So if you hit start, you'll notice our goal is -0.7. And I will let you know, I'm not very good at this game. I was better at programming it, but I am not a gamer. So this could take a long time. I probably won't be able to win with much money. Just lost $1. Dang. All right, we'll get one. Not missed again. Come on. My students are much better than I am. I know what I want to do. Got it. Oh, just missed. All right, I'll get one of these. I'm doing really bad. It's hard when you're nervous. Come on, dollars. Come in the right spot. I think I got one. Got one. So notice I just lost another $1. I don't have an R squared yet or anything. There we go. My R is -1. Obviously, with 2 points, R is -1. Okay. Oh, I can make the arrow move faster, but I'm not good. Sorry. Missed again. Let's try again. Dang. You can see I spend too much time on coding and not enough time playing games. Okay, just got another one. R is -0.2. You get the idea, and the idea as soon as I get within 0.1 of my goal, then I won, and I get the money. I don't want to like waste your time watching me. But I made a game, and students like this kind of stuff, and I think it's good for them. And what I've noticed is watching them play, which they're much better and faster than I am, they always don't get it at the beginning, and at the end, they totally understand what R means. That's the whole point, is that by the end, they remember, and they understand, and they get what it means to have an R of -0.7. That make sense? So I created a whole bunch of these, games, a lot of calculators, a lot of explorations, and I've done my best. That's all I can say. All right, what I've also done, do I have my multimedia and interactive stuff loaded into Mom? So what I do, let me show you. Let me show you how I do it. And where's my student? So in the syllabus, there's your textbook. So I just send you the link. I don't do embedding. I could, but links work fine for my students. Okay, and also in the modules. I think I have it in there somewhere, but the point is I have it in the modules. So if you go to, that one. So if you go to week 9, which we were last week, and there's chapter 11. So I don't know if you call it embedded into Mom, but I have it very easy to find in Mom. And there it is. So students definitely can get there without a problem. But I can embed it if I wanted. I usually just have them linked. That's up to you guys. Any questions on that? You just do I do Canvas in a deep way. I do Canvas in a deep way. Let me show you while I'm there. Let me talk about the quiz that I wrote yesterday, because I'm in the middle of my classes right now. And let me actually think the syllabus might be the easier way of getting to it. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do the one that's going to happen in 2 days, because if my students see the video, they'll see the quiz ahead of time. So I think I'll do the one they just took, which was the quiz on June 9th.
That's today.
Oh yeah, better not do that one. Thanks. How about the quiz on June 4th?
Sure.
Quiz on goodness of fit. So let me preview it. So this is a Canvas quiz. This is not a Mom quiz, by the way. And that's because I want them to be writing. I do quizzes. What I do is I lecture. I do a 5-minute introduction to the course of what we're going to do that day, go over the outline. And then they have to go and take a 20-minute quiz on Canvas. And then they come back and I go over it. And this is what the quiz looks like. And you'll notice there's a bunch of questions. 26% of all cars are in the US are white, 19% are black, etc. Write the name of the test, state the null alternative hypothesis, write down the table of observed and expected values, write down the test statistic and p-value, state your conclusion in the context of the study. And then below that, I have directly embedded my calculator that I created in LibreText. This is in Canvas to them. They never know it's in anything else. And they have to choose which of the items to use to be able to answer this question. And this one was, again, if they got part A right, they should be able to do this. So now I got to remember. Yeah, so this is a goodness of fit test. And if they click goodness of fit, so this embeds the calculator directly into their quiz. Do you see how that works? And then they can go in, and the observed values were 47, 43, 37. I think it was 43. I'm not going to do the whole problem, but, and then there was whatever's left over from the 200, what's 80, 90, 127. So there's what, 73 left, comma 73. And then they type the expected, they type calculated. I bet that's it because I probably did it already. And then they type calculate, and it gives them the answer, and then they put it in. So what I've done, and the p-value. And so then they go ahead and they do the answer. So this works really well. It's a little cumbersome because it has this top stuff. I'm working with Del Mar to see if I can not have this in there. Haven't figured out how to make that work yet, but we're gonna make that work. But this way, the calculator is directly embedded into the problems they're working on.
Where do they answer this? Like
Right here.
Five
So they go here. And this is not what it's going to look like to them because I've already done the problem. This is a quiz that happened yesterday, I guess. This is the answer to the question, so I'm going to erase the answer.
They will type in there?
Yeah, so it'll look like that. And then they answer right here.
Okay.
And what I tell them to do, is to take the question, copy it, and paste it into the answer. Oops. And then they can answer right away, right on it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And they just pop it in. So I found that works really well. Please remove the space killer. Sorry about the space killer. I'm working on it. Okay, yeah, there is, and that's how you do it. And I was gonna do this a little later, but I figured since I'm here, do you guys want to see how you do it? It's pretty easy, actually. But you have to be shown. If you're not shown, you'll never be able to figure it out. I almost promise that. So let me go to a quiz. Let me go back in Canvas. I'm in Canvas, but let me get out of that. So let me go to new quiz, just to show you from scratch how this might work. What you do is you go to new quiz. We've created one. I'm not going to worry about the timing and all that. Just going to show you how you would do it. I hit new question. And then, I don't know, maybe find the equation of the regression line. With data. And how about 4, 5, I'm just making some stuff up. 6,7. Three comma 8. You could do it tables, however you want. This is just Canvas. This is nothing. We haven't gotten to the complex stuff. Okay. The first thing is I make it a set of multiple choice. I make it essay. And now what I do, this is what I've learned how to do because I don't have it memorized. First time I did it, I had to figure it out. Is I go back to one of my old ones. And let's go to the one we were just looking at. That one. I go edit. I go questions. Then I go ahead and find one that has it. I hit the edit button. I hit the HTML editor. And this is, and I'm going to also pop this in the chat box. Again, I don't have this memorized. I always have to do it this way because it's what I remember. Again, you don't have to know how to do this yourself. You just have to get this link, the stuff. I copy it. And then I go to my quiz. I go to HTML editor. I go to the bottom and I paste. And there it is, it's in. Any questions on that? So again, what you do is you take that code that I put in the chat box, have that copied somewhere on your computer, and I have it copied from a prior quiz. And then you go to your HTML editor and you put the code on the bottom. And what that does is it adds what's called an iframe into the quiz. And this isn't just for mine. Notice that, let's see, there we go. That right there is a link. So if you want to put something else in, a different calculator, you can do that. Okay, so for example, if you want to use GeoGebras. So GeoGebra has a really good one if you like that one better. You can copy the URL of that.
Before you leave GeoGebra, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe after you embed it.
Okay. And I've never done it with GeoGebra, so hopefully it'll work nice. I don't know. So I'll find out. Update question. And there it is. And now you have GeoGebras in there. And that will work. So the nice thing is you could put whatever you want in a Canvas quiz. I don't know if you've done this before, but that's the use of iframe. And it works great. And that's what the students will see. And then they can go and put whatever they want in. And what this is this puts that GeoGebra right into it.
Do you know if there's a way that when they click on assignments, just like when they click on grades, that it'll immediately collapse the menu of Canvas on the left panel? Because you know how, like when I'm doing my homework, I collapse that.
Yeah, I've never heard of a way of doing that. It'd be nice though, because again, the quiz is kind of small.
And it does collapse it for assignments. So I wonder if that's something our learning management administrators can set as a default. Something about the link to grades will automatically collapse it. So it's definitely possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably possible, but I've never done it before.
In GeoGebra there, I'm just wondering, because I've been using that link for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
when you click on, like, if you can go down to one of the fields and click on the mean and type anything in for the mean, 50 or whatever. And I usually close that digital key, that electronic, that virtual keyboard. I don't know if you do, but can you tab into standard deviation? I used to be able to tab in, and now I have to click with my mouse in.
I hit Clab, it didn't do it. So the answer is no.
What happened? That just recently changed.
Yeah, that's a GeoGebra thing.
Right.
And again, this is one you know more about, so maybe you can talk about it because I use the one I built, but you can use the GeoGebra one. I don't know if you iframed it into Canvas.
I don't normally. I normally just have them link out with another page open, but I like that idea.
Yeah, I like the iframe. It's a lot easier on the students too. Much easier.
It is. And I asked you to check right now because I wasn't sure if it was a me thing only because I just got my computer swapped out. So I didn't know if it was something about the settings in my computer.
I just hit tab 5 times and it's still sitting at the mu equals 50.
So it was asked in the chat, and maybe you can tell me, the class that you're working on right now, obviously that's a current class and you just made a quiz adaptation.
Yeah, which I'm going to erase as soon as this thing is over so my students freak out.
Which won't be reflected right now, but this course that you're working on right now, it is available in Creative Commons, right?
Yeah, I mean, this exact course is not, because this is an EVE course. So EVE meaning that it's a pandemic course, let's call it that. So the course isn't done yet because I'm creating it as I go. Does that make sense?
Right. So the question in the comments, I think, is wondering, will it be available, not in the comments, in the chats, will it be available in Commons maybe when you're done with this session?
Yes. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you an assignment though. Around June 25th or so, send me an email to remind me.
Nathan and I will take that assignment.
Yeah, because right now I'm in the midst of teaching, and you know how that is. And then teaching will be all over, and then hopefully I'll remember, or if you email me, because it's easy to post in the comments. Again, this is the first time any of us have ever taught a pandemic course, right? Because nobody was around in the early 1900s. And of course, technology wasn't so good then. So
this also reminds me, I don't want to forget, when you do, these are calculators that you're showing, but for example, even with GeoGebra, when I use it, if I have a data set, I'm not using GeoGebra, I'm using your Google Sheets or my own thing. So what do you do when you're giving them data sets?
Okay, so first thing is that for quizzes and tests, I don't give them large data sets. I could, but I don't. So then I just use these calculators. Does that make sense? For projects, and I can show you that if you want. Again, I'm all over the place in terms of what the idea of things is. I created a spreadsheet program using Google Sheets. So now we're off campus, and I created a Google Sheets spreadsheet program. And let me share it. Copy link. Anyone in view? Good. Okay, so in the chat box is the link to that. Now, just to note, and every single day I have to tell people this, because people don't get it. There are a lot of people that use this. Is that the first thing you have to do is you have to go to File, you have to go to Make a Copy, and you have to make a copy so it's yours. Because I can't let everyone in the world edit, because then they can go change the formulas and all that. A disaster is Google. So you have to have your own copy. And this has everything. Everything that I use at least, and probably everything that you would use too, and a few more things I don't use that people have asked for. So right now we're on the one variable statistics, and you type in your data. So I can take that data out, put in some numbers, 34, 55, 4, 66, 22, 18. God, no, 38, et cetera, et cetera. You can put in your data, or you can copy and paste data in. You could also import from Excel, and it gives you the minimum, the mean, the sample variance, sample standard deviation, the median, the maximum. Q3 and the this is a stem and leaf diagram, which I'll show you in a bit. Q1 box plot, and then confidence level. You can choose the confidence level. You can make it say 90, and that will give you a confidence interval. You can choose your hypothesis test to be greater than, less than, or not equal to. You can, and then you have to choose your mu naught. So I don't know, 58. And there's your p-value for that. Then it does other stuff. It also does a z-score. You gotta let the students know they gotta put in the x value. Even I put in change this and they still don't, because they think that there's a z-score for all statistics. They don't get that it's for a value of x. So that's just a note if you're ever teaching it. And then there's a bunch of stuff you don't use quite as often, but could happen. IQR is probably the pretty important, actually. You have population variance, population standard deviation. You got kurtosis and all kinds of other fun stuff that they probably won't use. Percentiles. And this uses a warning. This uses the spreadsheet definition of quartiles and percentiles, which is different than the TI-84 definition. There's like 4 different definitions of percentiles. Such a pain in the butt in statistics. There is no definition of percentile. Just a warning. It's the only thing in math I've ever seen like that, where there's not a definition of a calculated number. So then there's 2 variable sets.
Your audio cut out a little bit when you were explaining the thing about percentiles and consistent definitions.
Sorry about that. So just a note about statistics. This isn't about technology, it's about statistics. Is that there is not a definition for the first quartile in statistics, even if you think there is. It is such pain. There's like 4 different definitions, different technologies use different definitions. So I recommend not asking them to do a computation, because if they use different technologies, they'll get a different answer for quartiles and percentiles. So instead, have them understand the idea, because it's just a mess. And I think the Statistical Society of America needs to figure out and just decide on one, but they haven't. So that's just a note. So the quartiles, oh, actually I can show you. I can go to stats.
Excited. It is going to be awesome. So
I can go to stem and leaf. And there's a stem and leaf diagram. I can change this to 10 squared, for example, instead of 10 to the 1. That will give you 2 decimal places. Which is not going to be very interesting, by the way, because there's no 3-digit numbers there. So if you want to change where the stems and leaves are, you can do that. Down below, it's all in writing, and that was so it's accessible. So if someone's blind and can't see the stem and leaf, they hear it. So screen readers can handle it. If I go to BoxPlot, that gives me the box plot of this particular data set. And again, down below there is a written description, so it is screen, so it's accessible. Any questions on that?
I know that you're considering making some small changes to that, and like where you locate the quartile in terms of the order for Q1 and so on. When you make those changes, are you going to keep the, what do you have there, the confidence interval? Are you going to keep it as 90, or are you going to change it to like 0.90 to be consistent with the other pages?
I think it's a whole number.
It is now, but on other pages, it uses a decimal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there was a mistake and I fixed it. Yeah, so I fixed that recently, actually, to make it consistent. But that's a good question. Yeah, so it's two variable stats. It has A and B. It has independent and dependent. Students would love for it to know which one it is, but of course the computer can't know whether it's independent or dependent. So it just shows them both, and the student has to know where to put their eyeballs, just to note, and that's always hard. There we go. Same thing. I made a regression analysis one. And this was actually a really easy one to code compared to the others. And there it is. So it gives you all the things you need. It gives you the equation of the regression line. I don't do multivariable regression. I don't do quadratic regression. This is for elementary stats. And I don't think anyone teaches anything other than linear regression, right? That I've ever heard of in community college, at least. So I didn't put any of that stuff in. But it does do the hypothesis test. It does all the things you need. And prediction of y given x. I also did chi-square testing. And you can choose goodness of fit, homogeneity, or independence. And put in your data, and it'll give you your chi-squared, your degrees of freedom, and the p-value. I created ANOVA, and that does all the stuff. You put in your ANOVA table, and it will just tell you what your F is. Does a whole lot of other stuff too, but pretty much the first two is all you need. And then I did what I call compute. And those are the, if you just want a binomial or a normal or a t-distribution, then those are just computations. So it's not data oriented. Okay, or if chi-squared or F distribution or t-distribution. So these are computations with all the distributions of these elementary stats. And I also use what's called dataless. That's what I called it, at least. And that is sometimes you're given a mean and a standard deviation you want to compensate. That's what these do. So I try to do all the stuff we've got. And again, this is open to anyone. I use it for projects. You probably don't have to worry about Nevada, but some of the Nevada universities require a spreadsheet use to accept it for transfer. I don't know, I don't think that's true for the Cal States or UCs, but I could walk to Nevada. So for us, Nevada is real important. So that's why I require a spreadsheet for part of my class. And again, that's up to your department on whether you want to require it or use it or whatever, but it's there. Any questions on the spreadsheet program? Any questions?
Not a question, but so Julie says, so students really don't have to buy a calculator. They could just use this spreadsheet. And obviously,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I will
Absolutely.
say that my students have loved it. In fact, they loved it when I had students who, when I first made the change, they had used the calculator. You know, you have to type in all the junk on the TI-83, 84. And then we transitioned to this. And so I still had some students in the carryover that maybe didn't pass the class or had to drop. And they liked this better than the calculator. They really felt that it was a lot easier to work with.
Yeah, but please do me a favor. Tell your students to go to File, Make a Copy first. I probably get 5 emails a day because people don't do that and they say, how do I get my own data in? It's like, you have to have your own, you have to give your own version.
Yeah, I have students who I have a video that they are supposed to watch the first week, and they learn how to do it. In fact, in my video, it says to put a bookmark, like you have your bookmark showing. I have them bookmark their copy. And then halfway through the class, for whatever reason, they either dump the bookmark, change their browser, whatever. And then they're asking, why doesn't it work anymore? I can't. And I'm like, remember, you have to.
So the question of the student instructions. So if you go to stats and you go to instructions. So I created instructions for everything basically. And I made videos on how to do everything. So here's a video on how to use a program to calculate one variable stats. And then there's a video on differences. So there's a video for each tab basically. And instructions. Yeah, so that's all there. And that's under the stats button. Okay, and this was all done in AppScript. I had to learn a new language to do this because Google has its own language. But it took me a few weeks to learn the language and then a month or so to make this program, or a couple months. It was fun. Okay, any questions on this? Okay. This one. Oh yeah, a few other things I've created just for fun. So many things open. Grab what I want.
Hey, Dr. Green.
Yeah.
I apologize if it's an.
Nathan,
I
you're
can't
muted.
hear you.
Can't hear you.
I got you at the beginning and then I lost you.
Okay, there we go. So if I'm just going to the screen there real quick. So can you still hear me now, or yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so when I tried to, so I copied the file and then I clicked on statistics, and it's not letting me. So I have to like sign in, and I'm trying to get the instructions, and it said the app isn't verified.
Yeah, okay, so it's a pain in the butt. Thank you for reminding of my horrible headache. It worked beautifully when I made it. And then browsers started doing some kind of security thing. And I promise you, I didn't put any virus on it. You actually have to tell your computer that it doesn't have a virus.
Okay, because I can do
give you
advanced
warnings, and you have to say open it anyway.
Yeah, just open it anyways. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
cool.
I did not put viruses on it.
I got you. I think it's awesome and wonderful, and I appreciate your work on it. It's really good.
Great. Glad you. So let me show you another resource that I created. This I created a while ago. I should probably update it one of these days. There we go. And I can share this one too if you want. You can see I'm a Google guy. I've been teaching for a very long time, more than a quarter century now for stats. And what I did, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I cataloged all of my exam and quiz questions. Okay, and I haven't updated in 6 or 7 years. Okay, I think there might even be a question on President Clinton. Okay, like today's President Clinton. That's how long ago it was. And there's 188 pages of questions. And these are catalog questions. And you're welcome to use them however you want. So I don't know, you can go find them. These do not have a key though. So that's another little resource that I created. So go and use it however you feel. Okay, and that might get expanded one of these days when I have a lot of time to add the last 6 years or so and make it 250 pages. So I've been doing these quizzes forever, and I always write different quizzes. So again, there's not much to say about it other than another resource. But I did want to mention a lot of resources that I have nothing to do.
That's the page I was asking about earlier, everyone. The one he's got up right now, statistics resources.
Yeah. So let me share this one too. There's a lot of sharing of pages that I've been creating recently. And the statistics resources one I just created with the help of you guys just last week, I believe. Actually, I think I want to let you be able to add things if you want. because unlike the other one, this one only took 10 minutes to make or so. So if you screw up, I don't care. Okay, so this is a bunch of really nice resources. And I've shown you some of them, but I want to let you know there's a lot. So I've shown you the LibreText statistics links, my spreadsheet, the GeoGebra one that you saw, that's not mine at all. Calculator.com has a statistics calculator. Math Portal has a statistics calculator. And Vassar Stats has one. There may be others, but these were, like when I went through the top 20 in Google, these were my favorites. So I grabbed these. Again, I didn't want to overwhelm anybody. And then there's a bunch of simulations, which are really nice. So I like Shiny Apps. Let me give you an idea of what those look like. I think they've done a nice job. Shiny Apps. Okay, and by the way, these have things that you wouldn't teach also. So be careful. This is not just elementary statistics. Now, when do they, I don't know, significant p-value, indicator true effect, I don't know. Let's see a good one. Here's normal versus binomial, which I actually have too. I created my own, but this is a prettier one, I think. There we go. And you can change the number of trials. You can make the probability of success be, I don't know, 0.4. And you could do whatever you want. You can kind of have the students play around with it or show this. And when do binomial and normal distribution deviate the least? So I don't know, try 40, see what happens. And if we try 5, what does it do? I haven't played with this much, but I have to allow, I think, anonymous user data. I wonder if that's why. Okay, it also gives this, which you probably don't care about, the ZR code. But anyway, it's really nice to be able to show your students what's going on. Okay. And there's a lot of these. Rossman has a really nice collection. So for example, I don't know, Reese's Pieces. You can take candy and you can look at probability of being oranges, 0.5. You can change that to 0.4 if you want. You can animate, draw the samples, and it makes it pretty. And there we go. Okay, so there's all kinds of things. Again, you can do it tomorrow, so I don't have to go and spend time on it. Okay, but there's lots of great apps. And what I want you to do is I want you to add to this. I could see we have most of you are in here, including the anonymous buffalo and the cormorant, the alligator, and coyote. If you know of any, see if you can add to this. And maybe I'll give you a couple minutes of cool stuff with statistics. They don't have to be simulations or calculators. They could be other things you like that you want to put in here. Let me give you a couple minutes to just play. Yeah, I had a good time for a quick restroom break. By the way, I could not go late on this one. I'm teaching my class at 1. And my students are going to be waiting for me, and then they have a quiz. So we're done in 37 minutes or something like that. So just let you know is that I really do have to go. I can't go longer than we're set up to go, because unlike you guys, I'm still teaching. And I'm teaching statistics. We're doing regression analysis today. And I'm going to show them, I'm actually going to be showing them why we needed to clean up Tahoe so that the lake wouldn't get ugly using regression analysis. So pretty cool stuff. So give you a few minutes, maybe restroom break. or a play around and add some things that you know about to this particular sheet. Because again, I put some things, not everything. Can you audit my class? I think it's legal. I can show you if you want. You better than audit. If you go to my YouTube station, while we're here, since you asked that question, and you go to my channel, and you subscribe to me or go find me, then you'll see I have webinars for statistics. And in particular, if you go to my playlist on statistics this quarter, it'll go as we go. You can even see the same background. My hair is a little shorter then. There's no barber. I'm getting long hair. And let me share. I have over 1 million subscribers, by the way. Let's share that. I think I'm going to share the playlist, though. Just a minute. No, there's a way to do that. I think it's back, actually. Or 1 million, sorry, 1 million viewers, 1,000 subscribers is what I meant. Your channel. And I want to go to playlist. That one. There's my statistics playlist for this quarter. And this is for my Eve class, we call it, because it's my non-face-to-face class. It's my non-online class that's become an online class. And I posted that on YouTube. And I also have many, many, many playlists, by the way. Got it. I was given a break, but we can't take too long a break or it's over. Yeah, I've been teaching for a very long time. So sorry if I'm like overwhelming you guys with too much. It's hard to like keep it only this for the technology that I've been playing with. But in the last, yeah.
Can we talk about Proctorio or like how to avoid cheating, testing challenges?
Great. Okay, and I do have that on my list. Okay, so the first thing is I am not going to have the perfect answer for you guys.
Yes.
But I can tell you my experience, and I can even show you my exam 2. I can't show you exam 3 because they haven't taken it yet. So if I go to that one, I believe. I don't want this quiz. And my exams I do on Proctorio. And I know that California has a license, but I'm not sure if it's going to continue in the fall. But hopefully, since we're going to be all online, hopefully they'll let us make it free in the fall. So let me get there. Let's go to exam 2. So notice it says exam 2 remotely proctored. So this is a test in Proctorio. And the first thing, and I got this from Cindy, I think, told me about it as a suggestion, is what I recommend, and I do this on all my first test questions. Oh no, shoot. Zoom and the screen are fighting each other. Just a minute. That would be. I think it's that one. Okay, so here's question number 1. And I recommend doing the same question number 1 on all of your tests. And that is, write your name below if you agree to not communicate with any adult and not use any of the device materials for this exam that have not already been expressly allowed by your instructor. So basically a agreement that they're not going to cheat. And then they have to write their name. It's 1 point, and they all do it. Does it work? I can't tell you, but my friend said it does, so hopefully it really does. So that's the first thing I recommend, whatever you're using, is if you're doing these at home tests, which we all have to do now, is it's a really good question 1. And you could change it to, there's a reason why I don't do it. There's a reason why I don't do anyone, is that right now with daycare closed, if a 3-year-old comes to mommy and says, "Mommy, I got to use the bathroom," well, they got to help their child. So that's the real reason. Okay. I tell them adult means past puberty. Just let you know. I let my students know that adult means past puberty. Anyone, if anyone under 13 can help, good luck. That'd be amazing. Yeah. So again, feel free to, adjust the words or whatever. The point is, it's just good to have a question at the very beginning to say that, they're not going to cheat. Okay, yeah, you could have a student handbook, academic honesty, all that. But something, definitely I recommend doing that. And the rest is just regular quizzes. I don't need to show you all my questions. One thing I do for fun, again, this isn't an online thing. Here it says, Erez selects. Well, that's because what I do is I take the students in my class and I use their names on the question. It's kind of fun. I don't know if it helps or not, but it's kind of cool. They like it. So they get to see their own name sometimes on the problems. Yeah, so some of you do the same thing. Use your own student's name. So I do that if I can. Okay, so that's the first thing. Proctorio works with Canvas. Okay, Proctorio definitely works with Canvas. I recommend talking to your distance ed person or the Canvas person, whatever you've got, to help you in your particular scenario in your LMS, because they're all a little bit different. Okay, so that's just a note, is that I've used Proctorio. Here's the problem with Proctorio. First thing is not all computers can handle it, because it's a big, huge memory suck. So there's a big nightmare in the fact that it's got a webcam at the same time of working on it, and old computers can't do it sometimes. Okay. Canvas quizzes cannot link to Mom. Yeah, Proctorio Mom, I've heard that there's a way around it. I just do Canvas quizzes, but you can't, supposedly there's a way to do it with Mom, and I've heard that it's a big headache and it usually doesn't work. But that doesn't mean it can't work. They're working on it. But I'm not the expert. I kind of decided to just go with Canvas. So a good question, but I don't have the great answer for it, sorry. But if any of you do, let me know. I do just essay questions only on my exams, the ones that I care about Proctorio doing. The nice thing about it is it red flags segments of the test. So you don't have to look at every student for their whole time taking the test. You can go and click on the red flag. It'll send you to where it thinks there might have been an issue, like an eye wandering or something, or hearing something. So Proctorio is nice that way, because I think it's way too hard to watch every student. But there's no great solution. The biggest problem with it is technology, is that some students' computers can't handle it well. We have something nice at our college, I recommend at yours too, is that we have any student can go to the college and pick up a computer for free. And those computers work with Proctorio. So that's what's nice. So that's not a big problem as long as they live in Martown, because they have to actually drive.
Chromebooks? I thought at first you guys got Chromebooks.
Yeah, and the Chromebooks work with Proctorio.
I heard that they didn't. Okay, that's great to hear.
I definitely know they do because my students all use it, and they all worked. Yeah, so Chromebooks work. You have to use Chrome. Some of the older computers don't have enough RAM is the problem. All new computers are fine. It's the older ones that are a problem. And the other problem is you have to have a webcam. And not everyone has a working webcam. So there's challenges. I don't have the answers, by the way. Here's what I don't recommend. I don't recommend giving a take-home test where they have a few days to do it. And let me tell you why. I'd say 3 times a week I get emails from a student, not my own student, asking me how to do a problem. And it's pretty clear it's a test problem. And by the way, I don't help them on it. What I do is I say, you might want to ask your instructor. If you have a question about a statistics idea, I can help you with it. If you can show me what you worked on where you got stuck, I can talk you through a little of it. I don't do a problem for them though. But the point is, they're going to find someone who can. And if they have money, they're going to pay someone. It takes time, so I recommend having a time test at which it's over at the end of the time. Or a lot of students will just pay someone to do their test or find someone to do their test. Okay, and it will happen.
I was adding some links to the page you had up open earlier. Did you already say this? Did you have them upload their Scratch work?
I don't have them upload the Scratch work. I have them type it in the essay part. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, and I've adjusted so I don't have them draw graphs anymore. It's, that'll change once the pandemic's over, because then they'll actually take it in class. But I had to make a few adjustments. So David asks, does it also have the summarized data, the Google spreadsheet? And the answer is yes. And that was the last tab. So under data lists, do you see? It says one var CI, that means confidence interval and p-value. They ask for an X bar, an S, and S for sigma, depending on whether you have a sampler's population, an N, and you're not, and then it just gives it to you. So the answer is yeah, the spreadsheet does that.
And your first tab has the confidence interval if they have data already on that.
Yeah, the first tab is for data.
Right, and it has the confidence interval already on that, or the hypothesis test right there.
Yeah. So the first tab is for data for one variable. And the last tab is when you have just the
summary statistics.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's all there.
Larry, how much time do you give for each test or quiz?
Well, quizzes are 20 minutes. That's what I give. Tests are a couple hours usually. However long class lasts, 2.5 hours, 2 hours. And that depends on you guys. Definitely not telling you what to do on that one. And then DRC students are disability students. They get double time typically.
I also meant for how long they open for you? 48 hours, 24 hours?
Oh, no, they're timed. No, they start at 1 o'clock and everyone takes it 1.
They start at 1 o'clock?
or whenever it is. Yeah, actually the 105 for the quiz is today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, my students will be taking a quiz today at 105. And these are, you know, these are what I call Eve classes. They're not online classes. So students have committed already for those times. Whereas my online classes, it's different.
What do you do in online classes? Like 48 hours? Do you let the leave the quiz open, test open, or more?
For my online classes, first thing for my online classes, they have to go to a proctor.
Okay.
And then they have usually about 6 days to do it.
6
They have a
days?
window of 6 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's a whole different thing because that's that you can't tell them to come at a certain time if they're an online student versus a face-to-face student that is forced to be online. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
And that's just my philosophy, at least. Again, everyone has different philosophies. You could disable the video and audio monitor in Proctorio. You can do that. And you know what? Then they use their smartphone. And Photomath. You guys know Photomath?
Yes.
Yeah. They just go to Photomath. And they can actually write it down on paper and handwriting, and it gives them the answer, shows them the steps. Yeah, so yeah, you could disable them. What's the point of Proctorio if you're disabling? It's useless.
What did you say, Larry, to Brett's comment or question about Canvas quizzes cannot link to Mom, right?
Yeah, there's some issues with if you're doing Proctorio with Canvas and Mom simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
It's
Because
a
I use
Proctorio thing.
Okay.
So my Proctorio one are Canvas quiz only.
Jameson, I tried it. I had Greta, my dog, take a quiz in Canvas to linking to my open math with Proctorio, and it wouldn't work.
Okay.
It was a bummer.
Well, maybe your dog just doesn't like know well enough. You need to train
She
your dog.
knows a lot. She's taken the class like 5 times.
Yeah. My open math and Proctorio and Mom together is a big problem. And I don't have an answer on how to make it work. So I don't do it.
I haven't used Photomath for stats yet. Are a lot of students using Photomath for stats?
Probably not, but they use Chegg.
Or Symbol Lab, Symbol AB?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, Symbol, stats are mostly word problems. So I don't know if Symbol Lab will do that. But Chegg, you can pay someone or ask someone.
Communities like Slater and Symbol Lab where they have a community group.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know Symbol Lab had a community group. But yeah, the point is that it's a bad idea. Yeah, you have to have some kind of enforcement. If you're worried about cheating, if you don't care if they cheat, that's different. What else? We don't have much time left. What else would you guys like to see? This is the open it up to whatever you want. I have an assignment for you. You saw like that game that I did? I want you to think about something you'd like to see programmed. I have a lot of time in the summer. Like if you have a game or something that I don't already have up or something that's not already up, and describe it, I'll make it happen. To describe what you want, I'll put it on LibreText in that the 1 through 50 or whatever, and I'll program it. You have to describe what it is, and it has to already not been done by me, okay, or easy to find from someone else. And I would love to do it. Right now I'm at the point where I'm running out of ideas, kind of cool games and stuff. I have a Be the Dealer or the casino game, for example, where it gives, some good simulations for casino games, roulette, and etc. Yeah, so let me show you that one that I was just saying, the Be the Dealer or a casino. I have so many things to open here. It's one of them. There we go. Look at that. Got lucky. One of the beginning ones. By the way, I don't know if you know, but they will kill me if I go to Vegas. So I can only do this online because I used to be a card counter. And they told me that if they ever saw me again, I wouldn't live. All right, so here's an example. You're going to be given a randomly selected hypothetical casino game, is what you're asking for. Then compute the expected value, and based on the result, choose to be either the casino or player. There are 10,000 games that will be played, and you're going to either win or lose that amount of money, in theory, of course. And so this game involves a player picking one card from a standard 52-card deck. If the card is 8 of hearts, the player wins $163. If the card isn't the 8 of hearts, but a heart, then the player wins 25, or if it's an 8, then the player wins 58. Otherwise, the player loses 18. Do you want to be the player or the casino? So I kind of that was a fun game. I haven't made that many games, but this is one that I thought I'd show you. It's fun. One of the casino game type thing. And you could choose to be the player or casino. And what do you think? We don't have a lot of time. And the idea is the student will figure out the expected value, and if it's positive, they'll be the player. If it's negative, they'll be the casino, hopefully, right? If they understand expected value. And then, we choose to be the player. Play the game. And there it happened. Hey, I won. Okay, I didn't compute in my head or anything. I just got lucky. And here's the expected value, 1.7115. And you can play it multiple times. And if you play multiple times, you won't necessarily win every game, but you can win most of them, most of the times. Almost all when there's 10,000 games. And then you can do the next game. And now we got colored slots, blue, orange, and green. So I created games, casino-type games, where they have to decide whether to be the casino or the player. It was a fun little game. So if you have any games, let me know. They don't know what a deck of cards is. That happens. I wouldn't say 70% of my students. I'd say about 20% of my students don't know a deck of cards. I don't have something that describes a deck of cards, but you know, they're online. They could type in deck of cards in Google. Yeah, we're definitely getting down to they don't touch cards anymore because they're on the phone. But they could Google search it. And not all these are cards, by the way. Like this one's colored slots. Okay, so they don't know anything really. And then there's the spinner. So this is roulette basically. This is a roulette wheel. So I did a bunch of casino type games and had them do this. Okay, I used to teach a course on gambling, on the mathematics of gambling. Yeah, poker's a good one. Poker's too intense to do on the computer though with this. Okay, so anyway, you want to know about casino games. So I have done some casino game stuff. What else would you like to talk about or see? Or because we got about 10 minutes left. Before I have to go out and teach. By the way, I'm on Zoom 9 hours today. It's a long day. I'm teaching a lot today after this. Yeah, by the way, this is not for an exam. This is just a play thing. So what else would you like to see? I can go back to that one. See if I missed anything. Yeah, what I do with the cards, I would never give cards on a test, by the way. I only do cards for kind of teaching fun stuff. My cat wanted to say hi. I have not played with Microsoft Teams because I use Google. I mean, I use Google and I also use, well, I use Zoom. And I do Zoom groups, or the Zoom rooms, I mean. And so I haven't played with Microsoft Teams because I use Zoom rooms. And I do that. In my class, I set them, you know, I usually do about 3 students per room and have them work on a problem. Sometimes they have to come up with their own data and then do whatever we're analyzing. And then we get back together out of the Zoom room, and then they have to present to everybody, each group. And that works well. I don't know if, have you guys tried that before? I don't use a tablet. I use this, what I'm using right now. And I'm very bad at writing. My handwriting is horrible. And I'm very good at typing. So I could do all kinds of cool things. So for example, I don't know, Z equals X minus U of sigma. And then I can make it big. So I can make nice things. I can also go and I can insert a drawing. And then I can draw. So I'm more into this myself than tablets. Then I can make a scribble out of it. And I get a nice normal curve. And I can save it. And then it's right in there. So that's more how when I lecture, I do it that way. I don't know if you've ever tried. Anyone tried that before? Tried this kind of thing? Oh, what program this is? This is called Google. This is just Google Docs. Yeah, this is Google Docs. You can copy and paste anything in. It works. Does what you need. Yeah, OneNote works. Again, we all have our, ways of doing things. One thing I like about Google Docs is that it's on the browser. So it's really easy to go back and forth from Google Doc to my table of contents to whatever, like I'm doing today.
Do you keep the live captions going when you have like Google Slides open? Because I know that Google Slides can do that just like Microsoft Teams can do it, where you have it captioning or I think they call it subtitling, live subtitling.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
On slides, it's there's a way just like on the online PowerPoints to turn on subtitling. So as you're talking, it's taking the transcript and it's putting it in a sort of preview or captions down at the bottom.
Captioning. So captioning. I have not tried that. I've not tried that, but sounds good though. Sounds good. The other thing I do is I share it, and then my students can be drawing too. That could be anarchy though, so just a warning. But I'll often share my, like you guys are all on this. You can make your own stuff as I'm making it, and everyone can see together. So we can all be working, and that way people can participate together and see what everyone else is doing. So I'm, we all have our favorite little tools, and I'm not saying this is the best there ever was, but it works. Yeah, PowerPoint, I guess, does live captioning also. So what else do you guys want to see? We have a few more minutes. Hopefully this was what you guys wanted, because I didn't know. Yeah, if you want to use a drawing tool, and I've tried that. I've used a, I'm blanking on the name. What do you call those pens that you can draw right on the laptop?
Wacom tablet?
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, and then you just draw. But my drawing is so bad that I just use my mouse and typing. And I found that that's a lot better. My drawing on the whiteboard isn't so good either when I'm at regular. Is that we all have our challenges, and mine is good drawing. I'm not good at it. But you guys might be. You might be much better artists than I am. But I can make a decent looking normal distribution curve. Not perfect, but if I want perfect, I can copy and paste someone else's. No, he didn't change his background. He's just like in a really cool spot right now. He's on the space station.
He had a green virus looking one earlier. He's had a lot.
So what else do you guys want to see? Hopefully this was helpful. Again, I never know what I need to, what's best to do for everyone, and there's a lot of you. So was this helpful, or did I just bore the hell out of everyone?
Very helpful.
No, very helpful.
Because again, that's all I'm trying to do is share what I've done successfully. And not everything's worked. I'm not telling you that all my students pass my class. And if you have ideas how to get everyone to do their homework, and let me know.
You gave a lot of good resources, a lot of free ones that they can do stats on, calculated like your Google Doc. It was really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, everything I showed you is free. There's nothing that costs money, because that's what I'm a big believer in. Proctorio might eventually cost money. That's the only one, because California has a license right now.
How did you get to the drawing on Google where you are right now?
Okay, so I went to insert, drawing, and then new.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, practice it before you do it with students. Because it takes a while to like learn how to hit this button just right, and like this is the text box button. So make sure you practice first, because this one's got a little bit of a learning curve. You can put images in, you can do all kinds of cool things.
Larry, it's been fun to use some of your questions from that catalog that you gave us. Some of them are just interesting and make it more meaningful to me.
Yeah, they're a little old. Like if you look at all the ones I've written in the last 3 months, I'd say half of them have the word COVID-19 in it.
Wow.
Hey, today's quiz.
Yes.
I can now show you today's quiz because it won't, if the students see it, they won't see it because this is not recorded until after all my classes. Just to give you an idea. And by the way, I make up data. I tell my students I make up data, but I want it to be relevant.
Wait a minute, those slides that you had where it talks about, the number of squirrels that die through the winter on the PowerPoints or your presentation slides, that's real data, right?
Yeah, usually what I do is I go to Google.
Okay.
But this particular quiz that you're about to see, I totally made it up because it's a survey. So take a look. This is today's quiz that they're going to be taking in 10 minutes. So that's about as relevant as it gets, isn't it? So I try to bring in, and I recommend you all do too, if you can, bring in relevant quizzes and questions. Okay, and by the way, the data, I totally made up the numbers. But I did look up to see how long most people take to get the test and how long people take for recovery. I looked that up, and then I put in some data that was reasonable to what Google told me. So kind of cool. So that's what my students, I don't know if they'll like it, but because still they got to do regression line stuff.
Do you see Lynn's question on, can you scroll up so that we can see the directions on for the student?
Here.
I don't know, that was her question.
Yeah, there's not really directions. It's just, here's the question. They have to answer it.
Mike, the squirrel thing is, Larry has, in one of his copied courses, has a bunch of presentations, slides to help with lecture. And so I've modified some of those, and some of them I kept, like he has a correlation between the age that you first have a kiss and when you lose your virginity. I found that one kind of interesting. So I don't know if it was real data, but I thought it was.
I think that one wasn't, but I will tell you something. I've been teaching for 26 years. Kids are not having as much fun as I did and my friends all did when we were teens. They wait much longer to kiss now. I have asked that one all my students every year, and it's gone slowly up every year. Now they're waiting till like they're 17 before they have their first kiss.
I love
In
it.
my generation, it was 13. 13 was slow. So kind of cool. I need to go though. It's 12:58. I have to teach in 2 minutes.
Have fun in your class.
So I'll be teaching in 2 minutes and they'll be taking the quiz. And
As
then
you
we'll
can
be
see,
doing
there's
that.
a lot of people expressing how grateful we are for you doing this. You've filled us with a lot of things to think about and use later. Thank you very much, Larry.
I'm glad this is
Yes,
slow
thank
again.
you.
All I can do is my best.
Stay inspirational, okay?
Yeah, and hopefully I'm not dead by the end of the day. I have 9 hours of Zoom leaving. It's going to be a long one.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks. I think I'm going to end the meeting so that I have 30 seconds to get to my class. But thanks a lot, everyone.